Chapter 316. The 3,600 geniuses of the Kanglan Star region suddenly fell silent. Some of the weaker ones even turned pale and broke out in a cold sweat under this terrifying pressure. Is this the Tao integration powerhouse of the Tsungyun sect who cultivates the Tao of the saber? Even a wisp of spiritual consciousness in the sky-connecting mountain and river painting can emit such power. Jiang Ci was also shocked. After Xian Tian entered the Tsungyun sect, he once revealed information about the Tao integration grandmaster of the Tsungyun sect. The Tao integration grandmaster of the Tsungyun sect, Wei Sheng, is a Tao of the saber. It is said that his actual combat power has surpassed the Tao integration stage. This was the slightest bit of information that he had learned. Beyond the Tao integration stage, Jiang Ci was fascinated. At this moment, a thunderous voice sounded in this starry sky continent. The young people of this year are very good. The second stage of the finals will begin in a year. I hope you can continue to work hard and win glory for the Kanglan Star region. The dark-faced man's eyes were like torches as he swept his gaze over everyone. Then, he disappeared. The big boss finished his lecture. The geniuses breathed a sigh of relief and left the sky-connecting mountain and river painting. Jiang Ci, see you in a year. Mu Ning also waved his hand and disappeared. Jiang Ci nodded. When his spiritual consciousness returned to his body, he seemed to be able to feel the pressure just now. When he came out of the practice room, Jiang Dudu was waiting outside. The little girl smiled and said, "Brother, congratulations. It's still early. Congratulate me when I get first place in the universe." Jiang Ci was very arrogant in front of Jiang Dudu. "Ha, you only know how to brag." Jiang Dudu wrinkled her nose. "Let's go home and have a look. I haven't been back for 3 years." Jiang Ci smiled. The two left Dudu Manor side by side. Soon, they returned to Earth through the interstellar transmission array. Although someone in the Tsungyun sect secretly investigated Jiang Ci's background, they found nothing. Because the interstellar transmission array on the first moon of Earth had been marked by Daoist GE, the coordinates of Earth's interstellar transmission were encrypted Earth, Xian Tian City. Jiang Ci and Jiang Dudu appeared in a teleportation array. He had set up this teleportation array the last time he returned to Earth. Now that the situation on Earth had changed drastically, in comparison, Xian Tian City was safer and more secretive than Pak Sen Province. Therefore, he destroyed the teleportation array in Pak Sen Province. The fewer people who knew about the teleportation array, the better. At this stage, Earth was still not suitable for connecting to the stars. Lord Jiang Ci, Hu Yang, Chu Ziyi, and Qiu Hong, who had been waiting here for a long time, bowed respectfully. The three of them had now completely replaced the original responsibilities of Jiang Ci, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, to guard the entire Great Xia Alliance. Hu Yang, congratulations, you've broken through to the nascent soul stage. Jiang Ci laughed. It's mainly because my lord nurtured me well. Hu Yang did not dare to claim the credit. Jiang Ci smiled. As early as 10 years ago, he had selected a cultivation technique from his inherited memories and passed it to Hu Yang. Now, Hu Yang had finally broken through and reached the early nascent soul stage. Hu Yang's breakthrough also made Jiang Ci feel more at ease. Because in the future, he, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai would only return to Earth less and less frequently. The Great Xia Alliance had just been established, and it was not that stable internally. There had to be a cultivator who was strong enough to suppress everything. One nascent soul stage cultivator was enough. After that, Jiang Ci held Jiang Dudu's hand and, like ordinary people, mingled with the passers-by and strolled around Earth. Compared to the cruel competition in the universe, Earth was like a quiet haven. In the blue sky, there was no sign of the Tongtian mountain river diagram. It was as if it was isolated from the universe. 10 years had passed, and Earth's environment had changed greatly. Brand new cities were built in the former wilderness. The trend of cultivation had become more prosperous. Everyone did not relax just because the monsters were sealed in the Grotto Heaven's secret realms. Instead, because of the rich resources, more and more martial artists were produced. Jiang Xi was very happy to see such a situation being strong as a whole was true strength. He believed that if this continued, in another 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, Earth would definitely not be inferior to the level 4 or even level 5 planets of the Tao Alliance. When the two of them came to the Dark Shadow Kingdom to patrol, Jiang Xi received a message in his communication bead. He scanned it with his spiritual sense and found that it was a message from Earth. After reading the content, Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised. This Lord Commander had given him another great gift. "Brother, what's the good news?" Jiang Dudu asked curiously. "Something good. Earth sent me some information about some young geniuses from other star zones that I need to pay attention to," Jiang Xi said with a smile. As the Heavenly Court's law enforcement commander in the Blue Star Zone, Earth had the means to obtain information about geniuses from other star zones. That's not bad. Jiang Dudu was pleasantly surprised for Jiang Xi. She had been running the Mountain Sea Star trade for the past 10 years and knew the importance of information. Know yourself and know your enemy. It was the same in business and on the battlefield. Jiang Xi was about to participate in the finals. At that time, all the geniuses from different star zones would gather. If he did not know the strength of his opponents, he would be at a disadvantage. Next, the two of them traveled around Earth. Jiang Xi diverted part of his attention to read the information. Hiss. Ji Wei, a young genius from the Thousand Bird star zone of the Hunyuan domain, killed 1 billion contestants in the division battles. Jiang Xi was stunned by the first piece of information. There was also a scene of Ji Wei's attack in the information. He hurriedly checked it. He saw a cold young man with a lock of white hair on his forehead facing more than 100,000 contestants. Suddenly, the space within 1,000 kilometers collapsed. The space seemed to have turned into glass shards. The contestants inside didn't even have the chance to scream before they died. A special Tao technique, the Tao of nothingness. He was even stronger than Mu Ning. The information stated that he possessed a special Tao of heaven and earth and had the strength to compete for the first place in the finals. Jiang Dudu was most familiar with Jiang Xi's expressions and movements. She could tell at a glance that Jiang Xi was frightened. What happened? Why are you so scared? Jiang Xi suppressed the shock in his heart and sent the information to her. Jiang Dudu was also dumbfounded after reading it. Then she turned her head and said, "Brother, I think you'd better forget about the first place. You'd better fight for the 300th or 500th place." Jiang Xi took a deep breath and continued to read the information of other geniuses. Quang Lang, the first place in the Jiuyou star zone of the Guanghan domain, has a special Tao of heaven and earth. Yang Jiufeng, the first place in the fire-splitting star zone of the Qianyang domain, has a rare Tao of heaven and earth. Shui Tong, Wuji domain, Fenglu. When the two of them wandered around Earth, Jiang Xi also finished reading the whole information. The shock in his heart could not be calmed down for a long time. In the information sent to him by Earth, there were 3 people who possessed a special Tao of heaven and earth. They were Ji Wei, Mu Ning, and Quang Lang. 27 of them had a rare Tao of heaven and earth. 265 of them had an ordinary Tao of heaven and earth. There were a total of 295 geniuses at the Tao of heaven and earth level. Chapter 317. The 9 realms of the Tao Alliance were controlled by the 3 gates and 6 sects. The names of the realms also came from the 9 sects. They were the Tao realm, Buddhist realm, Sword realm, Zixiao realm, Guanghan realm, Hunyuan realm, Qianyang realm, Wuji realm, and True Mystic realm. While Jiang Xi was familiarizing himself with the information of his opponents, the geniuses of the 9 realms were also collecting information on the others through various means. Inside the famous Raging Sun Cave in the fiery split star zone of the Qianyang realm, Yang Jiufeng was the young master of this cave. She was wearing a fiery red dress and was lying on her stomach beside a fire pond. She was holding a jade slip and carefully examining it. The girl with a fair face and a good figure frowned, looked serious, and sometimes excited. Experts are as common as clouds, experts are as common as cloud. After a while, she said to a woman in armor beside her, "Why hasn't the Zixiao realm sent over the Kanglan star zone?" The armored woman replied respectfully, The young cultivators of the Kanglan Star Zone have always been weak. In the past 50,000 years, the highest ranking in the finals was only 3,601. Our intelligence agency hasn't developed there, so it's not easy to collect information. Weak. Then forget it. It's boring. Yang Jiufeng waved her hand. At this moment, the armored woman's communication bead lit up. She quickly said, "I've collected information on the participants of the Kanglan Star Zone." "How many?" Yang Jiufeng didn't even look up. She was obviously not interested. "Just 2. Then read them to me. The first one is Mu Ning. He has a special Dao technique, the Dao of Life. He has the strength to reach the top 10 in the finals." The armored woman sounded surprised. "Damn. Didn't they say the young cultivators of the Kanglan Star Zone were weak?" Yang Jiufeng got up from the fire pond and widened her eyes. "What about the other one?" she asked. The armored woman replied, "The other one is Jiang Ci. He also has a special Dao technique." "What? Another special Dao technique? How are we supposed to play?" Yang Jiufeng interrupted her. "Young master, it's a special Dao technique, the Sword Realm. According to the information, this person has the strength to reach the top 300 in the finals." "That's good. You don't need to read the rest." Yang Jiufeng waved her hand. In a desolate galaxy in the Hunyuan region, it was dark and deathly still. A cold youth with a lock of white hair on his forehead sat cross-legged in the starry sky. The starry sky around him seemed to be fluctuating, shattering, and reassembling along with his breathing. He was also looking for information on geniuses from other star zones. "Are there 2 other people with special Daos of heaven and earth?" "No one can stop me." Guanghan Domain, 9 Nether Star Zone. On a cold planet, there was a young man named Wild Waves. Even after reading the information of the geniuses from other star regions, he was still extremely arrogant. In the Black Mountain Star Zone of the Wuji Domain, in the middle of the Sea of Blood, mountains of corpses stood tall. A cultivator who looked like a child sat on the highest mountain of corpses, overlooking the entire Blood Sea. Zixiao Region, Kanglan Star Region. In the Forgotten River Galaxy, on a quiet planet with life. Beside a clear lake, an old water buffalo was strolling leisurely. The young shepherd boy, Mu Ning, was leaning against a willow tree with a green foxtail in his mouth. He held a jade slip in his hand and looked at it. "Earth." Jiang Ci focused his gaze and regained his composure. According to the information, there were a total of 295 geniuses with Daos of heaven and earth. But he understood that there were far more than that. Those geniuses with special Dao domains are not inferior to ordinary Daos of heaven and earth in terms of combat power. For example, he had a special sword domain, and it was already in the perfected state. Through the experience points panel, he calculated a perfected sword domain could provide an amplitude of 200 times. A perfected ordinary Dao of heaven and earth could provide an amplitude of 500 times. According to the degree of comprehension, a Dao of heaven and earth could be divided into 10 levels. His special Dao technique, the sword domain, was equivalent to 4 levels of an ordinary Dao of heaven and earth. Moreover, he had 2 rare Dao domains, gale and fire. The geniuses of the universe gather. Jiang Ci's eyes became firm again. There was still a year before the finals began. It was not time to admit defeat yet. In the coming days, he would continue to deduce. As long as he could make a breakthrough in the gale and fire domains, his strength would be further improved. As for the sword domain, Jiang Ci did not dare to think about it now. As a special Dao technique, it would be extremely difficult to deduce the stage of the Dao of heaven and earth. Soon, another year had passed. New Moon Era 111, August 8th. The first stage of the competition in each of the 3,600 star zones had ended. The finals of the 9 Zones Genius Tournament had begun. Jiang Ci rushed from Earth to planet Kanglan. Waterfront City's teleportation hall. Guard Captain Gong Shi's eyes lit up when he saw Jiang Ci. "Greetings, Lord Jiang Ci." Gong Shi made an exaggerated salute. "No need to be so polite." Jiang Ci only smiled lightly, then waved his hand and left. Gong Shi and Shen Wansi were good friends, and they had met a few times over the years. "Thank you, Lord Jiang Xi. I wish you a great victory in the finals. Gongsha's face was full of smiles as he sent Jiang Xi out of the hall. He looked at Riverward's back and muttered in his heart, Your Excellency, you must get a good ranking. After Jiang Xi left the teleportation hall, he wiped his face and changed his appearance. If he walked back to Dudu Manor with his real appearance, he would definitely be surrounded by people all the way. It would be the next day when he returned. He had no choice. He was too famous now. Now, the people of planet Kanglan regarded him as their hope and glory. After returning to Dudu Manor, Jiang Dudu was busy with the Mountain Sea Star trade, so she didn't stay on Earth for long and had already returned. She knew that Jiang Xi was going to participate in the finals tomorrow, so she had arranged everything in advance. For example, the defense array of the manor, the meditation array of the training room, and so on were all checked many times. She ensured that there wouldn't be any accidents on the way. Jiang Xi was quite satisfied with this. The little girl was becoming more and more considerate. Brother, do your best. Jiang Dudu waved her fist, even more excited than Jiang Xi. Just wait and see. Jiang Xi nodded vigorously. Then, he closed his eyes and entered the Tongtian mountain river, painting through the communication bead. It was the starry sky continent that he had arrived at the end of the last round-robin competition. Jiang Xi later learned the name of this continent. It was called Kanglan Continent. 3,600 contestants from the Kanglan Star region were gathered here. Jiang Xi, over here. Mu Ning called out to him again. Jiang Xi walked over with a smile. This young shepherd boy wearing a straw hat and a short shirt looked very excited. Jiang Xi, have you seen the information of the geniuses from the other star regions? There are many experts. Mu Ning asked. Are you afraid? Jiang Xi asked back. What's there to be afraid of? Mu Ning glared at him. Then, he asked curiously, by the way, you've improved so quickly. Did you improve again in the past year? No. Jiang Xi shook his head. I don't believe it. Heh, believe it or not. Chapter 318. Jiang Xi didn't want to explain. No means no. The Tao of heaven and earth was indeed difficult to deduce. Over the past year, he hadn't made any breakthroughs in the Gale domain and the Fire domain. However, the feeling of a breakthrough was getting clearer and clearer. Soon. While Jiang Xi and Mu Ning were talking, the other young geniuses of the Kanglan Star region were also full of excitement and anticipation. Even though they knew that their strength might be a little weaker, everyone still hoped to get lucky and get a good ranking in the finals of the 9 regions genius battle. If they were lucky enough to enter the Purple Heaven sect, they would have a meteoric rise. After a while, the burly man with a long beard and a long saber on his back appeared again in the sky above the Kanglan continent. My name is Wei Sheng. I will lead you to participate in the finals of the 9 regions genius battle. His voice echoed on the continent. Greetings, Lord Wei Sheng. Many geniuses immediately saluted. While Jiang Xi saluted, he thought to himself, sure enough, it's the Tao reunion old ancestor of the Tsungyun sect. He also had a good impression of this burly man because Wei Sheng was now Shen Tian's master. They were family. Wei Sheng nodded slightly. His dignified eyes made people not dare to look directly at him. He fixed his eyes on Mu Ning and said, Mu Ning, this time, among the 3,600 geniuses of the Kanglan Star region, you are the only one who has a chance to enter the top 10 of the finals. I hope you can perform well in the finals and win glory for the Kanglan Star region and wash away the shame of the Kanglan Star region for countless years. Mu Ning will remember. Mu Ning replied respectfully. In addition, Wei Sheng glanced around and said, only Jiang Xi has the strength to make a breakthrough. As for the others, I hope you can perform better and do your best. Don't embarrass the Kanglan Star region. The geniuses present were immediately a little unconvinced. Although they knew that their strength was worse than Jiang Xi and Mu Ning's, it was uncomfortable to be said in public like this. Unconvinced? Very well, I hope you can hold your breath. In the finals of the 9 regions genius battle, there have been cases of sudden breakthroughs. If any of you can have a big explosion, I will personally reward him. Wei Sheng sneered as soon as these words were spoken. The eyes of the geniuses lit up and they were filled with battle intent. Although Wei Sheng was expressionless, he nodded in satisfaction in his heart. The effect of the lecture was very good. All right, it's about time. I'll bring you to the Purple Clouds continent. Wei Sheng waved his hand, and the Milky Way spun. In the blink of an eye, everyone found themselves in a different environment. He was standing on a green jade platform that was millions of square kilometers in size. And this green jade platform was located on an even more vast continent. Purple Clouds continent. At this time, on the green jade platform, there was a sea of people, stretching as far as the eye could see. Each of the 3,600 star zones of the Tao Alliance had sent 3,600 geniuses to participate in the finals. In total, there were 96 million people gathered here. Just looking at the numbers, he didn't think much of it. But now that he saw so many people with his own eyes, the feeling was completely different. The geniuses of the Kanglan Star region were shocked to see this. How are we going to compete? Jiang Ci was puzzled. Or mix the people together, fight each other, and survive to the end? He shook his head. If it was that simple, it would be too lame. At the same time, the people of the Kanglan Star region arrived. The people of the other star zones immediately turned their attention to them. The people of the Kanglan Star region are here. Which one is Mu Ning? I think it's that young shepherd boy who doesn't wear shoes and a straw hat. Our sect master said that this person has the strength to make it to the top 10 of the finals. I wonder if it's true. Anyway, he's a strong opponent. I remember there's a guy named Jiang Ci in the Kanglan Star region. I heard that his strength is also not bad. His SOSO. He's only in the top 300 or 500. He's not worth paying attention to. You're talking as if you can make it to the top 500. Everyone's attention was obviously on Mu Ning. As for Jiang Ci, as someone said just now, he was not worth paying attention to. With the mentality of watching a show, they would only look up and not down. Jiang Ci's expression was very indifferent. The other geniuses of the Kanglan Star region were indignant because no one paid attention to them. At this time, 3,600 geniuses from another star zone were transmitted over. It's Ji Wei. Ji Wei is here. Our sacred master said that Ji Wei's strength has already determined that he will be the first in this year's finals. What's his strength? On the huge green jade platform, exclamations rose and fell one after another. It was an uproar. An indifferent young man with a wisp of white hair on his forehead walked in front of the geniuses of the Thousand Bird Star region and came to the green jade platform. Jiang Ci and Mu Ning also looked over. He's very strong. He's even stronger than what the information said. He's the real freak. Mu Ning's expression was solemn. It's not time to admit defeat yet, Jiang Ci said with a smile. Of course. I'm not afraid of him. Mu Ning snorted. Then, the geniuses of various star zones arrived one after another. On this huge green jade platform, they were divided into 3,600 square arrays and arranged neatly. The Tao reunion experts of each star zone stood in the air above their respective arrays, waiting quietly. After an unknown period of time, two huge figures appeared in the starry sky. One of them was a man in a green robe with disheveled hair. The other was a man in a suit of armor with a handsome face. They were Immortal Yi and Chu Xian, who were supervising the Nine Zones Genius battle. My name is Yi Liang, the man in the green robe said leisurely. My name is Chu He, the man in the suit of armor said in a low voice. The 3,600 Tao reunion experts immediately bowed respectfully and said in unison, Greetings, exalted immortals. Greetings, exalted immortals. The 129. 6 million young geniuses also bowed along with the Tao reunion experts. But many people were confused, especially those who didn't have a master. They didn't understand what exalted immortals were. Exalted immortals? Were they immortals? Jiang Ci was only a little surprised, but he wasn't particularly shocked. Because in the inheritance memory left by Daoist GE, there was also an introduction to the existence above Tao reunion. Tao reunion experts had a lifespan of at most 10,000 years. Their lifespan could only be extended when their cultivation reached a higher level. And the realm after Tao reunion was Tribulation Transcender. There were 9 tribulations in total. One tribulation was 10,000 years. In other words, the lifespan of a tribulation transcender could reach up to 100,000 years. I didn't expect 2 tribulation transcenders to preside over the finals. After all, it's a battle of geniuses that covers the entire human race in the universe. Jiang Xi understood. Just as this thought came to his mind. At this moment, another figure appeared in the starry sky. This figure was a middle-aged man with a resolute face wearing blood-red armor. This person seemed to be an existence of another level of life, and the entire starry sky faintly seemed to be in harmony with him. His iron-blooded aura spread throughout the entire Purple Cloud's continent, giving people a kind of pressure that came from the depths of their souls. People couldn't help but tremble. He was too strong. What realm was this expert at? Chapter 319. Greetings, true monarch Iron Mountain, immortal Yi Liang and immortal Chu. He were the first to bow to the middle-aged man. As soon as they bowed, the other Tao integration experts and geniuses did not dare to stop. Greetings, true monarch Iron Mountain. Orderly and loud voices echoed in the starry sky. Jiang Xi was truly shocked. True monarch. It was actually a true monarch. Those with such a title were definitely above the Tribulation Transcender realm, Tao Immortal. Above the 9 tribulations was Tao Immortal. This is ridiculous. The Purple Heaven sect actually sent a Tao Immortal to preside over the 9 regions genius battle. Jiang Xi was secretly shocked. There were a total of 3 immortals. This showed how powerful the Purple Heaven sect was. This was also one of the reasons why he did not dare to casually go to the Purple Heaven sect to deliver the inheritance. He could imagine if he told them that he had the Purple Heaven sword manual. With so many immortals in the Purple Heaven sect, any one of them who acted cruelly would be able to dissect his soul. Moreover, he might feel that such an act was cruel. But in the eyes of an immortal, he was just an ant. After everyone finished bowing, true monarch Iron Mountain looked expressionlessly at the 129. 6 million young geniuses, and his hoarse voice echoed throughout the Purple Heaven continent. In this 9 regions genius battle, I hope you will do your best to achieve good results and strive to become a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. Those who fail, do not give up. Continue to work hard and contribute to the strengthening of the human race. We will remember your words, everyone said in unison. True monarch Iron Mountain nodded and disappeared. The pressure that lingered in the depths of his soul also dissipated. In the starry sky, immortal Yi Liang and immortal Chu he looked at each other in surprise. I didn't expect true monarch Iron Mountain to come personally. It seems that the 3 geniuses who comprehended the Tao of heaven and earth in this 9 regions genius battle have attracted the attention of the perfected monarch. Then, the 2 suppressed their surprise. Immortal Yi Liang said to the geniuses, let's first talk about the rules of the 9 regions genius battle. Everyone on the green jade platform immediately looked over. Immortal Yi Liang continued. In this final, there are a total of 129. 6 million participants in the 9 regions. Only 3,600 people can enter the Purple Heaven sect. First of all, the first stage is the Qingyun Dao trial. We have prepared an illusory space for each contestant. Every illusory space has 9 Qingyun paths. Each Qingyun Dao is divided into 9 trial spaces, each of which has a certain number of points. What you have to do is to go through the Qingyun Dao trial and gain points. The more points you have, the higher your ranking will be. Everyone only has one chance. Death is the end. After everyone dies, according to the final ranking, the first to the 360th can directly enter my Purple Heaven sect and become a disciple of the 9th heaven. From 361 to 13320, there are a total of 12,960 people. After 2 more rounds of the challenge tournament, the remaining 3,240 people will be chosen. These people can also directly enter my Purple Heaven sect and become disciples of the 9th heaven. As for the others, they're all eliminated. All eliminated, all eliminated. These words echoed throughout the entire Purple Clouds continent and the starry sky. All the geniuses were stunned. Jiang Xi was even more shocked. Just now, he was still thinking about how to compete in the finals. Unexpectedly, the rules given by the Purple Heaven sect were so simple and crude. More than 10 million people were eliminated in just one round. The top 3,600 people of the finals were selected. Suddenly, Jiang Xi was stunned. Qingyun Dao, 9 steps, Ling Wan Road, 9 steps, they were so similar. Could there be a connection? Get ready, I will teleport you to your respective illusory space later, the voice of the Yi Immortal sounded again. The green jade platform that covered an area of millions of square kilometers was suddenly in an uproar. More than 10 million geniuses could no longer hold it in and started discussing. There are a total of 9 Qingyun Dao trials in the Qingyun Dao trial. The trial will definitely be more and more difficult. I wonder how many steps we have to pass before we have a chance to enter the top 13320. In short, the more we pass, the better. It seems cruel, but it's actually an opportunity. If it's really a battle royal or a challenge tournament, once we encounter those crazy people, we'll be eliminated. However, there are more opportunities in this kind of trial. Many geniuses who were previously just going through the motions reignited hope in their hearts at this moment. As long as they entered the top 13,320, they would be able to enter the next round. After 2 more challenge tournaments, they would be able to enter the top 3,600 and become a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. Jiang Xi, why don't we compete to see who has a higher ranking in the Qingyun Dao? Mu Ning raised his eyebrows. At this moment, Jiang Xi was still shocked by the relationship between Ling Wan Road and the Qingyun Dao. Hearing this, he laughed and said, "No, I'm just giving it a try. If you win, I'll play you a new song. Come on, listening to your song will kill me. Hey, I only have a few songs that can kill people. The rest are all good. How many more songs do you want?" Mu Ning insisted again and again. In the end, Jiang Xi couldn't dissuade the innocent young man and agreed. Isn't it just listening to songs? After a while, the Yi Immortal's voice sounded again. The Qingyun Dao trial begins. All of a sudden, the galaxy rotated and everyone disappeared under the power of teleportation. Jiang Xi appeared in a bright and boundless space. Although he looked calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. In this illusory space, there were 9 Qingyun Dao paths made of green jade. They were numbered 1 to 9. Each Qingyun Dao path had 9 giant stone steps. This scene was too familiar. There was such an illusory space in the heavenly pavilion of the second grotto heaven of the Jade Pool mystic realm. However, in the illusory space in the heavenly pavilion, there was only 1 Ling Wan Road made of white jade. However, there were 9 Qingyun Dao paths made of green jade. Could it be that this heavenly mountain river painting has some kind of connection with the Jade Pool mystic realm? To be more specific, is it related to the heavenly pavilion? Jiang Xi couldn't help but think so. He still remembered the last words that the spirit of the illusion, Ni Shong, had entrusted to him in the illusory space of the heavenly pavilion. Ni Shong told him to return to the heavenly pavilion after he cultivated his essence soul. By then, there would be great benefits for him. The heavenly mountain river painting was the supreme treasure of the Dao Alliance. What was the heavenly pavilion then? Jiang Xi's heart raced and he tried his best to suppress the shock in his heart. At this moment, a clear and crisp female voice sounded. "Trial taker, please pay attention to the rules of the Qingyun Dao trial." Jiang Xi took a deep breath and temporarily put aside the suspicions and shock in his heart. He looked at a stone tablet in front of the 9 Qingyun Dao paths. The specific rules of this trial were written on it. Each of the 9 Ling Wan Road has 9 steps, and each step corresponds to a trial space. There are 100 trial targets in each level of the trial space. Kill all the trial targets and you will pass the trial. If you survive for 30 days, you will also pass the trial and continue to the next trial. Chapter 320. Jiang Xi continued to read on, only to see that there was a way to obtain points at the end. The points of the trial taker are determined according to the trial targets killed. The more you kill, the more points you will get. The specific points are as follows. The first Qingyun path, the 9th trial space, 1 point will be awarded for each trial target killed, totaling to 900 points. The second Qingyun path, the 9th trial space, 10 points will be awarded for each trial target killed, totaling to 9,000 points. For each Qingyun path, the points of each trial target will be increased by 10 times. For the 9th Qingyun path, the 9th trial space, 100 million points will be awarded for each trial target killed, totaling to 90 billion points. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and pondered for a while. I just don't know the specific difficulty of the trial. According to Immortal Iliang just now, the final ranking will only be determined after everyone dies. In other words, none of the more than 10 million geniuses can pass all 9 Qingyun paths. Although Jiang Xi had the experience of going through Ling Wan Road on Earth, he was also worried that his experience would be wrong at this time. The rules of the Qingyun path and Ling Wan Road were similar, but it did not mean that the trial targets inside were similar. Hence, he did not let his guard down and instead focused 120% of his attention to take this trial seriously. He strode towards the first step of the first Qingyun path. Before he went up, Jiang Xi suddenly stopped in his tracks. In a flash of inspiration, an idea surfaced in his mind. There are 2 ways to pass each trial, either to kill all trial targets or to persist for 30 days without dying. Then what if I can last for a full 30 days in each level of the trial space, and only finish off all the trial targets at the last moment? In that case, there will be 270 days in one Qingyun path, which means that there will be 9 Qingyun paths in 2,430 days. That's more than 6 years. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up as he saw new hope. With that time, he could continue to deduce Dao techniques. If he broke through, his strength would be improved. If I do that, my ranking in the early stages of the trial may be much lower, or even at the bottom. However, once I break through, there will be great progress. Even if my luck is terrible and I don't succeed in my deduction, with my strength, as long as I don't die, I'll be able to catch up. Moreover, Jiang Xi's sharp intuition told him that he was about to succeed. After all, the deduction of the Gale domain and Ignis domain had already taken a long time, consumed a huge amount of EXP, and had been black-faced so many times. If he still didn't succeed, it would be too unreasonable. With that thought in mind, Jiang Xi stepped onto the first step. He immediately used his spiritual senses and entered the first trial space of the first stage of the Qingyun Dao. First, there was a blue stone round platform similar to the one in Ling Wan Road. Next to it stood a blue stone pillar. Words appeared on it. Participant, Jiang Xi points, 0 ranking, none. There was a line of words below, which made Jiang Xi even more certain that his assumption was correct. If you can kill them all or survive for 30 days, you will pass the trial. After that, it was the familiar equipment selection process. Jiang Xi chose the supreme grade spirit weapon, the killer shadow sword. After everything was ready, the spirit of the illusion of the Qingyun Dao said, "Participant, please kill 100 dragon pythons of the demon race within 30 days. Dragon pythons? Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. I'm going to get the top demon bloodline right away. On Earth, he could easily defeat the dragon pythons. What about here? In the next moment, the space changed and a vast swamp appeared outside the bluestone round platform. There were dark clouds and black rain while lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Roar. Kill the humans. Drink their blood and eat their flesh. 100 dragon pythons with wings on their backs hovered above the swamp, emitting a monstrous ferocious aura as they roared at Jiang Xi. These dragon pythons are all at the perfected nascent soul realm. Jiang Xi was slightly shocked, but he soon regained his composure. He leaped and took the initiative to rush out. The Dao runes emitted by the dragon pythons were not strong. Their Dao realm was very low, but their cultivation level was high. In addition, their bloodline power was definitely much stronger. However, when Jiang Xi used the sword domain to easily kill a dragon python, he was confident. Kill 99 of them first and leave the last one alive. Yes, that's it. At the same time, in the Tongtian River diagram of the Purple Clouds continent, Immortal Iliang and Immortal Chuhe had been standing in the starry sky, supervising the progress of the 9 regions genius battle. Below, on the huge green jade platform, 3,600 Dao integration powerhouses were gathered together and chatting with each other. According to the rules, the Qingyun Dao trial of the 9 regions genius battle would only be announced to the public with a simple ranking. The specific trial content was confidential. They would only continue to use the Tongtian River diagram to spread the news of the battle to the entire 9 regions of the Dao Alliance. However, the Dao integration powerhouses had the authority to check the situation of the various illusory spaces of the Qingyun Dao trial. 5 poisons, your disciple is very impressive. He even entered the top 10 in the first trial space of the Qingyun Dao trial. A Dao integration powerhouse from the Qianyao Star region exclaimed in surprise. You flatter me. I can't compare to Ji Wei from the Qianyao Star region. That young man is really strong. Although the 5 poisons shook his head, his face was full of pride. It was true that Ji Wei came from the Qianyao Star region, but he was not the disciple of that Dao integration powerhouse. However, the 5 poisons disciple had temporarily entered the top 10, so the significance was different. Ji Wei is indeed impressive. Others are still working hard in the first Qingyun Dao trial, but he's about to enter the second one. He's indeed a rare genius of the Dao Alliance. The other Dao integration powerhouses also sighed and changed the topic to Ji Wei. On the other hand, the Dao integration powerhouse of the Kanglan Star region, Wei Sheng, remained silent and frowned. It's normal for Mu Ning to enter the top 20. But what is that little fellow, Jiangxi, doing? He stopped after killing 99 of them. He could observe the situation in the illusory space that Jiangxi was in. After Jiangxi easily killed 99 dragon pythons, he trapped the last dragon python with the power of his domain. Then he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Wei Sheng valued Jiangxi very much. This was because his new disciple, Shen Tian, was Jiangxi's sworn brother. The two of them were also related by blood. Now, Jiangxi's passive attitude towards the competition made him feel a little embarrassed. All 96 million people were desperately trying to pass the trial, but Jiangxi was the only one who was leisurely. At this moment, the 5 poisons and some other Dao integration powerhouses came to Wei Sheng. Old Wei, I remember that the Kanglan Star region is known as the star region with the best interstellar trade in the Zixiao domain. However, in the past 50,000 years, no one has been able to enter the top 3,600 in the 9 regions genius battle. This time, there are actually 2 people who have a chance to enter. That's really rare. The 5 poisons spoke in a strange tone, and it was unknown whether he had good or bad intentions. Wei Sheng's face darkened. What he was afraid of had happened. Others might not be able to tell, but of course, he could. This was malicious. Chapter 321. Wei Sheng's face was sullen. The reason being, he and the 5 poisons old geezer had a feud in the early years. It even developed to the point of a life-and-death duel, which was later resolved after the mediation of the higher-ups. The 5 poisons old geezer mentioned the shameful record of the pale blue star region in front of so many people because he naturally wanted to embarrass him. Let me see the ranking of the 2 geniuses in your star region. The 5 poisons old geezer went to check the trial situation of the pale blue star region. Mu Ning, not bad, he's ranked 19th. It's a pity that such a genius was born in the pale blue star region. Jiangxi, this little guy is really something. He's ranked more than 10 million. Old Wei, is this the genius of the pale blue star region? The 5 poisons old geezer looked shocked. Some other Dao integration powerhouses also laughed. Anyway, they were just there to watch the fun. Of course, they saw Jiangxi's trial situation. In the finals of the 9 regions genius battle, it was rare to see someone not working hard. As for the feud between Wei Sheng and the 5 poisons old geezer, many of the Dao integration powerhouses present knew about it. With a sullen face, Wei Sheng's body flickered and he went somewhere else. This little guy dares to be passive and slack off in the finals. When the trial is over, I must teach him a good lesson. Soon, more than a month passed. In the illusory space of the Qingyun Dao, Jiang Xi was in the second trial space of the first Qingyun Dao. The trial space was a world of flames. The target of the trial was a strange life form, the flame giant, which did not belong to the demon race. A mature flame giant could easily eat a star and was extremely powerful. However, there were 100 flame giants who were at the perfected nascent soul realm and were not mature. Although they were stronger than most human cultivators who were at the perfected nascent soul realm, they were still no match for Jiang Xi. 99 of them had already been killed by Jiang Xi, leaving only one flame giant that was bound by the power of the domain and roaring continuously. Jiang Xi was silently chanting at the side, deduce, deduce, deduce. The deduction of the Gale domain and distant fire domain was carried out at the same time. Suddenly, in a trance, Riverward sensed that something had descended. However, it was not in the Heavenspan Mountain River diagram, but in the outside world. Blue Planet, Dudu Manor, Training Room. The nascent soul in Jiang Xi's lower dantian emitted an invisible wave, which connected with the invisible wave descending from heaven and earth. A wisp of dark red Li fire suddenly appeared in the nascent soul's left palm. He had broken through. You have comprehended the Tao of Fire. Experience points plus 10 million. At the same time, the EXP panel beeped. Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised, but he didn't make any big movements on the surface. He knew that the two immortals and Tao integration experts could see the situation in the illusory space. Previously, I spent a huge amount of experience points and spent a long time on it, but I was still unable to succeed. To think that I would succeed in just a month. That being said, Riverward also knew that this was the result of a qualitative change due to a quantitative change. Deducing the Gale domain and Ignis domain has cost more than 2.6 billion EXP. That's 1.3 billion EXP on average. 1.3 billion EXP, this kind of consumption was not small. Besides, that was only one type of breakthrough. The Gale domain had yet to be broken through, that's not all. There's also the Sword domain, which is even more difficult to deduce. The Sword domain was a special level Dharmic Tao. If he wanted to deduce the next realm, he would probably need a massive amount of EXP. He secretly opened the EXP panel to check. Cultivation level, Nascent Soul, Late Stage 1, 06 million 06 million, Dharmic Tao Tao of Fire, 15 million, Gale domain, 5000005000000, Sword domain, 10,000,000,000,000,000, amplitude, 200 deduction, 10,000 EXP once cultivation method, Purple Cloud Sword Sutra, Peacock Visualization Experience Points, 920. 88 million. I only have more than 900 million EXP left. It's still not enough. Jiang Xi shook his head and did not dwell on this issue. Instead, he focused his attention on the Tao of Fire that he had just broken through. He was still undergoing the Qingyun Dao trial, and improving his strength was his top priority. 50 million EXP for upgrading is still acceptable. Jiang Xi heaved a sigh of relief. He was afraid that he would have to spend tens of billions of EXP for upgrading. Now that he had broken through, the next step was to improve his Dharmic Tao. However, there was now a problem. He was in the state of a spiritual body in the Tongtian Mountain River painting. His body outside was in the midst of meditation and cultivation, so he couldn't move. In other words, he couldn't provide a large amount of spiritual energy by eating spiritual fruits. In that case, it would be impossible to increase the EXP of the Tao of Fire in a short period of time. My current cultivation level is at the perfected nascent soul realm, and the maximum amount of EXP that I can gain every day is 4,200 points. Experience points are magical. It's different from the experience points gained from killing monsters in games. Without the assistance of spiritual energy, I can increase my experience points. Even if I'm at the perfected nascent soul realm, my body can only withstand so much EXP every day. However, in terms of Dharmic Tao, I can increase it by 8,400 EXP every day. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi laughed. It was because of a battle that happened a long time ago. When he first embarked on the path of martial arts, he had a battle with Shun Quan in Pakistan province on Earth. At that time, he used the EXP panel to improve his martial arts techniques because he had improved too much in a short period of time. It exceeded the limit that his mental consciousness could bear and he almost died. When he woke up, he discovered that the limit of his mental endurance had increased. The daily EXP increase in his martial arts techniques had become twice that of his level. Even if his martial arts techniques evolved into Dharmic Tao, the multiplier remained the same and had always existed. I didn't expect that my desperate efforts in the early years would come in handy now. Now, he could use all the 8,400 EXP that he could gain every day to improve the Tao of Fire. He would improve it step by step and see how far he could go in the Qingyun Tao trial. Soon, Jiang Ci persisted for 30 days in the second trial space of the first Qingyun Tao trial. He killed the roaring flame giant with one sword and passed the trial. You have passed the second trial of the Qingyun Tao, EXP +2. 1 million. Hearing the prompt, Jiang Ci laughed again. That was the same as the Ling Wan road of the Jade Pool. After each trial was completed, there would be EXP rewards. However, the EXP given here was more. The first trial of the Qingyun Tao gave him 2 million EXP. According to the increase, he would gain 100,000 EXP for each subsequent level. It's a good bonus. I'll definitely get more at the end. Jiang Ci was even more motivated as he stepped on the next step. The space changed and the trial scene this time was a world of rugged rocks. Trial taker, please kill 100 golden-winged condors within 30 days. 100 massive golden-winged condors suddenly appeared in the air, each with a wingspan of tens of thousands of feet. They covered the sky and emitted a menacing aura as they pounced on Jiang Ci. Let's see my strength after the breakthrough first. Chapter 322. The golden-winged rock condor has the top bloodline of the demon race. Rumor has it that it's the descendant of the golden-winged rock. Jiang Ci held the killing shadow sword and charged forward. The Tao runes that were filled with the light of Li fire instantly spread to a radius of 1,000 kilometers. The Tao of Li fire descended. The Tao of Li fire that had just broken through was integrated into Jiang Ci's sword. Whoosh! The dark red sword shadow that was 100,000 feet long roared and swept out. It killed more than half of the golden-winged rock condors with one strike. Not bad, it's very strong. Although the experience of the Tao of Li fire did not increase by much, it did not even reach the first level. However, after changing from the Li fire domain to the Tao of Li fire, the attribute of the Tao of Li fire had undergone a qualitative change. Under the blessing of the Tao runes, the power of his sword increased sharply. The Tao of Li fire is a rare Tao technique. If the experience of the Tao technique is higher, my ranking in the finals will be higher. Jiang Ci's eyes were glowing. Next, he would continue to improve his Tao technique experience using the time of each level of the Qingyun Tao trial. On the green jade platform in the purple clouds continent of the Tongtian Mountain River diagram. When Wei Sheng saw the scene of Jiang Ci killing dozens of golden-winged rock condors with one sword, his sullen face finally eased a little. However, in the next moment, the expression on his face stiffened again. It was because Jiang Ci had once again repeated the rhythm of the first two levels of the trial space. He only left a golden-winged rock condor behind and then began to cultivate again. This little guy. Wei Sheng was a little helpless. Of course, he discovered that Jiang Ci had already broken through and comprehended a rare Tao of heaven and earth. Although he was surprised, he was also puzzled. Since he had already broken through, shouldn't he go all out and rush up? If he continued to cultivate using the time of each level of the trial, he shouldn't be able to improve much, right? Cultivating a rare Tao of heaven and earth, even if one's talent and comprehension were high, it would take a decade or 100 years to improve. What could the Qingyun Tao do in such a short amount of time? Besides, there were so many people watching, couldn't he perform well and be more proactive? Wei Sheng had indeed been feeling uncomfortable during this period of time because the five poisons had been using Jiang Ci's negative attitude towards the competition and mocked him from time to time. Even though everyone knew that Jiangxi was cultivating, Jiangxi was still cultivating. But as an enemy, the Five Poisons ghost did not care so much. The only one who made Wei Sheng feel better was another genius from the Kanglan Star region, Mu Ning. He's working hard and is about to enter the top 10. Outside, on the pale blue planet, the huge painting of mountains and rivers hanging in the sky only showed the ranking of the Qingyun Dao trial. That genius called Ji Wei is too terrifying. Others are still working hard on the first two Qingyun paths, but is already challenging the fourth one. Mu Ning from our Kanglan Star region is also not bad. He ranked 13th in the trial. By the way, what's Jiang Ci's ranking? I haven't seen him for a long time. I remember he was counting down last month. When everyone looked around and found that Jiang Ci was still at the bottom of the list, they immediately became lively. It can't be. The hope and glory of the blue planet have been destroyed just like that. I don't believe it. With Jiang Ci's strength, even if he wanted to hide, he should have rushed into the top 10,000 by now, right? He's already in the bottom 10,000. It seems that the glory of the blue planet still has to be fought for by Feng Sai of the Zhongyun sect. He has already rushed into the top 10,000. For a moment, there was a flurry of discussion. There were all kinds of guesses whether they believed in Jiang Ci or not Jiang Ci. Of course, most of them didn't believe it. Due to the fact that they couldn't see the specific scene of the trial, everyone could only judge the situation of the trial based on the rankings. Hence, many people thought that Jiang Ci's previous performance in the division battle might have been short-lived. Now that it was the finals, his strength couldn't keep up with the countless geniuses of the 9 regions, soaring rainbow planet. Yuan Zhengshuo happily drank 3 cups of wine, and his hearty laughter echoed throughout the entire palace. Good. Just like that, I'll stay at the bottom. The lower, the better. He was now full of hatred for Jiang Ci. The reason was simple. He didn't know who it was, but someone spread the news that he had a conflict with Jiangxi. Now, his competitors in the Soaring Rainbow sect were all using this matter to attack him and take the opportunity to weaken his strength. If the sect leader wasn't his great-grandfather, he would have been kicked out of the list of successors by now. And the source of all this was because of River Word. In the blink of an eye, it was the second year of the Qingyun Dao trial. 96 million people basically passed the first Qingyun Dao trial. The second Qingyun Dao trial became a watershed. Almost every trial space could eliminate at least 1 million people. By the time they reached the third Qingyun Dao trial, there were only more than 800,000 people left in the trial. The competition for the ranking of the trial was also extremely intense. In particular, the top 10 places were constantly changing. Except for Ji Wei. This terrifying genius had already rushed to the 6th Qingyun Dao trial. The second place was still in the 4th, he was 2 major ranks ahead. It was almost certain that he was the first place in the trial. However, the most speechless thing was that Jiang Ci, who was crawling slowly in the Qingyun Dao trial like a snail, was actually still alive. He had already reached the 3rd step of the second Qingyun Dao trial. His ranking in the trial had also climbed from more than 10 million to more than 8 million. On the huge green jade platform of the Purple Clouds continent, silhouettes appeared one after another. They were all people who had been eliminated by the Qingyun Dao trial and had reappeared there. Many of them seemed to have just taken an exam and were comparing their answers. Which step were you eliminated at? I was at the 4th step. The soul-devouring ants of this Qingyun Dao trial are too strong. I died as soon as the battle began. We're the same then. I'm also at the 4th step and I killed more than 30 soul-devouring ants. Oh, I'm at the 4th step of the 3rd Qingyun Dao trial. Damn it, I'm second. After everyone compared their results, they turned their attention to the ranking of the trial. Due to the fact that only the 2 immortals and those Dao integration powerhouses could check each illusory space. Hence, the eliminated geniuses could only pay attention to the trial of others through the ranking. The people of the Kanglan Star region naturally paid attention to Mu Ning and Jiang Ci, the 2 representative geniuses. Then, they discovered the abnormality of Jiang Ci's ranking in the trial. They quickly deduced the total time taken to pass the trial and the rank of the Qingyun Dao trial. Jiang Ci persisted for 30 days in each step of the trial in the Qingyun Dao trial before passing it. This guy wants to use this time to cultivate and make a breakthrough. He's already very strong. Using the rules to waste time like this is too embarrassing. There are so many powerhouses watching. Their discussion attracted the attention of the people from the other star regions. Hence, Jiang Ci's name spread among the geniuses of the various star regions. Soon, almost all the people who had been eliminated found out. There was a genius with good strength in this 9 regions genius battle. He was using the trial time of the finals to cultivate. Such a situation was rare. Everyone immediately became interested and began to pay attention to Jiang Ci. Chapter 323. The number of people paying attention to Jiang Ci gradually increased. Of course, there were more than 10 million geniuses who had thought about it before. They wanted to persist in each trial space for a full 30 days and use that time to cultivate. However, they did not succeed in the end. Firstly, without Jiang Ci's strength, they couldn't easily kill 99 trial targets and leave only one alive. Secondly, they couldn't do such a thing under the watchful eyes of so many powerhouses. Time passed, and when the 3rd year ended, the Qingyun Dao trial was in its 4th year. The number of people who were still persisting in the trial was less than 10,000. Ji Wei was still in first place in the trial. He was a genius with breathtaking talent and was about to complete the 8th Qingyun Dao. He had left the others far behind. For example, the person in second place was still working hard on the 6th Qingyun Dao. However, that was not the focus of everyone's attention. Everyone was looking at one person, Jiang Ci. Why hasn't he been eliminated yet? Why is he still alive? Not only was he alive, but he had also reached the first step of the 5th Qingyun Dao and was ranked in the top 10,000. In the past 3 years, everyone looked at Riverward's ranking. It was like a snail, steadily climbing up step by step. Many people were numb. At this point, everyone was clear that Jiang Ci was going to persist in each trial space for a full 30 days. Although Wei Sheng, the Dao integration powerhouse of the Kanglan Star region, was still a little helpless, his expression was getting better and better. He was even a little expectant that Su Changyu might be able to give him a surprise. The reason being, he could tell that Jiang Ci's Dharmic Dao strength was improving bit by bit. Even if the 5 poisons old geezer would still mock him from time to time, he would pretend that he didn't hear anything. As Jiang Ci's ranking rose, the 5 poisons old geezer would only mock him less and less. In the sky above the purple clouds continent, with their powerful immortal senses, Immortal Yi Liang and Immortal Chuhe could monitor the situation of everyone's trial at the same time that little guy is taking things one step at a time and fighting steadily. I admire his attitude, Immortal Yi Liang said with a smile. Don't you think that his Dharmic Dao is improving a little too quickly? He only comprehended the Dao of fire 3 years ago. Now, he has already surpassed the first level. Immortal Chuhe said solemnly. What's so special about that? One word, genius. Immortal Yi Liang chuckled. Genius. Someone like Ji Wei was a true genius. After 3 years, he did not stop for even a moment. He was about to reach the 9th Qingyun path. As I recall, it has been over 1 million years since anyone has reached this stage in the finals of the 9 regions genius battle. Immortal Chuhe said. You're just a little old-fashioned. Geniuses aren't made from the same mold. Let's wait and see. I think Jiang Ci can give us a surprise. Immortal Yi Liang cast his gaze towards the illusory space. He could see that Jiang Ci was seated in the lotus position, cultivating. Immortal Chuhe didn't argue. He had high hopes for Ji Wei. He was not the only one. In fact, almost everyone was optimistic about Ji Wei. Of course, no one would compare Jiang Ci with Ji Wei, because they were not on the same level at all. Ji Wei was about to reach the 9th Qingyun path. Jiang Ci had just reached the 5th Qingyun path. Look, Ji Wei is starting to challenge the 9th Qingyun path. Immortal Chuhe's eyes lit up. Immortal Yi Liang also hurriedly looked over. At the same time, the Dao integration experts below also shifted their attention from Jiang Ci to Ji Wei. After all, This concerned the record of the 9 regions genius battle and was more worthy of attention. No matter what Ji Wei's final result is, he has created a new record. Yeah, in the past million years, the best result in the finals of the 9 regions genius battle was the 9th step of the 8th Qingyun path. While everyone was discussing, in the illusory space, the cold-looking young man with a lock of white hair in front of his forehead stepped onto the 9th Qingyun path with a long sword in hand. In the first trial space, there were still 100 perfected nascent soul dragon pythons. However, the Dao runes of the heaven and earth Dao flowed in the space. Soon, Ji Wei fought with those dragon pythons. However, he was injured in just a moment. This is the first time he's been injured. Immortal Chuha's eyes flashed. Immortal Yi Liang remained silent. Then, Ji Wei erupted, and the space above the boundless lake in the trial space shattered. His figure shuttled through the countless fragments and attacked those dragon pythons. His movement technique was strange and unpredictable. In the end, Ji Wei killed half of the dragon pythons before being torn to pieces by the remaining ones. He was eliminated. However, just half of the dragon pythons gave him 5 billion points. No one could shake his first-place position. Immortal Yi Liang sighed and said, "What a terrifying young man. His strength has already surpassed that of many tribulation transcenders." Immortal Chuha also said, "Yeah, once he reaches the Dao integration realm or even the primordial soul realm, his strength will be comparable to the two of us." Ji Wei's current cultivation was at the perfected nascent soul realm, and he was unable to fully display the power of his Dao integration realm. If he reached the primordial soul realm or the Dao integration realm, he would be able to display even more power. As for tribulation transcenders, these two immortals were very clear that once Ji Wei transcended the tribulation and became an immortal, he would far surpass them. Below, on the huge green jade platform, whoosh, Ji Wei's figure reappeared on the platform. He was still expressionless as he found an empty corner and sat down cross-legged. He didn't approach others, and others didn't approach him. In the distance, those Dao integration realm powerhouses looked at this young genius that was rarely seen in a million years with complicated feelings. They had suffered a blow. Each of them had cultivated for thousands of years, but their Dao integration realm was inferior to that of a junior. At the same time, those more than 10 million geniuses who had been eliminated. When they saw Ji Wei's figure appear, they understood that Ji Wei had also been eliminated. Although they couldn't see Ji Wei's trial scene, they could see the changes in his ranking points. They knew that Ji Wei had passed the 9th Qingyun path before dying. Everyone was silent. The gap was too big. At this time, Jiang Xi was in the first trial space of the 5th Qingyun path. The trial targets here were also 100 dragon pythons. At this point in the trial, he had already figured out the situation of the trial targets. The trial targets of the 9 trial spaces were different. The trial targets of the first trial space were all dragon pythons of the monster race. The second trial was a strange life-form flame giant. The third trial was a golden-winged condor of the monster race. However, the trial targets of the 9 Qingyun paths were arranged the same for each level, except that their strength would increase with each level. After reaching the 5th Qingyun path, the strength of each trial target was at least equivalent to the top 10,000 geniuses of the finals. However, with Jiang Xi's current strength, he could still easily deal with the 100 dragon pythons. He had already killed 99 of them, but there was still one that he had yet to kill. When Ji Wei was eliminated in the first stage of the 9th Qingyun path, Jiang Xi didn't know about it. He was still working hard to cultivate and improve. Jiang Xi only discovered this situation when he passed the first trial and checked his ranking. Chapter 324. After entering the next level of the trial space, Jiang Xi still maintained his previous pace and left one trial target alive. Then, with a thought, he summoned the interface of a light board. It was his ranking in the trial of the Qingyun Dao. Trial participant, Jiang Xi points, 1989900 ranking, 8752. I'll be in the top 5,000 after a few more levels. Huh! Jiang Xi's eyes flickered. He finally discovered that there were some changes in the information of Ji Wei, who was in the first place. He was still in the first place, but there were 2 more words behind his name. Trial participant, Ji Wei, eliminated. Besides, Ji Wei's points were also 5 billion more than the last time he looked at the ranking. 5 billion? Each of the trial targets of the 9th Qingyun Dao has 100 million points. With such a huge increase, he must have passed the 9th trial, but he didn't pass the first level of the trial space. Jiang Xi was amazed. Even if he didn't pass the first level, he was still a pervert. After passing the first 8 Qingyun Dao trials perfectly, he still needed 100 points to reach 10 billion. However, the first level of the 9th Qingyun Dao trial already had 10 billion point. Clearly, the trial of the 9th Qingyun Dao trial was extremely difficult. Ji Wei actually managed to kill half of the trial targets of the first level of the Qingyun Dao trial. What terrifying strength! Jiang Xi shook his head and got rid of the shock in his heart. He didn't compare himself to Ji Wei and was still competing with himself. He would improve a little every day and continue like that. It would only end when he reached his limit. He looked at the changes in the experience points panel. Dao of Fire, 872550000000, amplitude, 256. 96, according to the conversion of experience points, the Dao of Fire is worth 8.72 million experience points, which is equivalent to more than 1 level. Of course, the Dao of Fire is a rare Dao technique. Even if it's only 1 level, my strength has obviously improved. In terms of amplitude, although it has only increased by 96 times, the increase in actual combat power can't be so simple. Jiang Xi calculated in his heart and had a clear understanding of his own strength. The amplitude was only for spiritual power. The other aspects of the Dao of Fire were not reflected. For example, the Dao runes of Li Fire, the power of the flames of Li Fire itself, and so on. When all of these were put together, the increase in his strength would be more than that. Before the finals of the 9 Zones Genius Tournament began, he had the strength to rank in the top 300. But now, he had the strength to be in the top 100. Time passed, and another year passed. It was now the 5th year of the Qingyun Dao trial. Mu Ning, another genius from the Kanglan Star region, finally made it to the 7th place and was eliminated. And there were only 3 people left who were still in the trial. Wild Waves, currently ranked 4th in the trial. Blood Boy, currently ranked 8th in the trial. Jiang Xi, currently ranked 85th in the trial. Of the top 10, only 2 were not eliminated. However, no one paid attention to Wild Waves and Bloodchild. Their eyes were now focused on Jiang Xi. Almost everyone was thinking the same thing. How far could this genius, who had crawled step by step like a snail, reach in the end? In the starry sky of the purple clouds continent, in the sky of the towering mountain river diagram, Immortal Yi Liang was all smiles. Immortal Chu he remained silent. Clearly, Jiang Xi's performance had exceeded Immortal Chu his expectations. Below, on the huge green jade platform, most of the Dao integration powerhouses also fell silent. Only Wei Sheng was smiling more and more. Good lad, well done. Mu Ning from the Kanglan Star region had already made it to the 7th place. However, Jiang Xi was different. His disciple, Shen Tian, was Jiang Xi's sworn brother. In that case, they were family. Hence, Wei Sheng paid more attention to Jiang Xi. Now, Jiang Xi's performance had really exceeded his expectations. He originally thought that Jiang Xi would be able to get into the top 500 in the Qingyun Dao trial. In the end, he had already reached the 85th place. Wei Sheng was in a better mood. He had a hunch that Jiang Xi would bring him more and more surprises. Besides, the 5 poisons old fogey that annoyed him had completely shut up. The disciple of the 5 poisons old fogey had made it to the top 10 in the beginning. However, as the others put in more effort, he only managed to get 124th place in the end. Hence, if anyone continued to talk about Jiang Xi's negative attitude towards the competition, they would be asking for trouble. Who knew what ranking Jiang Xi would eventually reach? In the outside world, on the Kanglan Star. It was the hope and glory of the Kanglan Star region. That title was given to Jiang Ci by the Kanglan Star region's people. It was too inspirational. He went from being in the bottom 10 million to being in the 85th place. He had never given up on getting there. What ranking could Jiang Ci make in the future? Everyone was looking forward to seeing Jiang Ci make it as high as possible. Of course, Jiang Dudu was also paying attention. She had been waiting outside the training room of Dudu Manor and had never left. After seeing Jiang Ci's latest ranking, she smiled knowingly. Soon, Quang Lang, who was in 4th place, and Xue Tong, who was in 8th place, were eliminated one after another. Quang Lang stopped in the 9th step of the trial space of the 7th Qingyun Dao trial. Xue Tong was 1 step lower and fell in the 8th step of the 7th Qingyun Dao trial. Out of a total of 96 million geniuses, Jiang Ci was the only one left who was still persisting in the Qingyun Dao trial. In the 5th step of the trial space of the 6th Qingyun Dao trial, Jiang Ci knew about the situation when he saw the word eliminated in the ranking information. 1st place, Ji Wei, was eliminated in the 1st step of the 9th Qingyun Dao trial. 2nd place, Yang Jiufeng, was eliminated in the 2nd step of the 8th Qingyun Dao trial. 3rd place, Mo Hong, was eliminated in the 1st step of the 8th Qingyun Dao trial. The remaining 4th to 30th places were all eliminated in the 7th Qingyun Dao trial. It seems that the 7th Qingyun Dao trial is another watershed. Jiang Ci came to that conclusion after analyzing it. However, he was still not in a hurry and maintained his previous rhythm as he moved forward steadily. To him, time was power. He improved a little every day. Be it the various major star zones outside or the Tongtian Mountain River diagram, there were 2 immortals, 3,600 Dao integration cultivators, and more than 10 million geniuses who had been eliminated. They were all watching Jiang Ci train. He was the last trial taker. Under everyone's gaze, it was the 2nd half of the 5th year of the Qingyun Dao trial. Jiang Ci finally made it to the top 30 of the trial. 29th place. He rushed to the 2nd step of the trial space of the 7th Qingyun Dao trial. The trial targets of this step were still strange lifeforms, the flame giants. Jiang Ci finally found it strenuous to deal with them. It was because the power of the Dao of Fire could not be perfectly displayed on the flame giants. After putting in a lot of effort, he only managed to kill 99 flame giants. The speed of improvement in Dharmic Dao strength can no longer keep up with the increase in the difficulty of the trial. Jiang Ci understood that there was not much time left for him to improve the Dao of Fire. Charge to the limit, don't give up until you reach the limit. After the Qingyun Dao trial ended, there would be other battles and there wouldn't be such a good opportunity to improve then. He continued to advance steadily. Chapter 325. The 3rd, 4th, and 7th steps of the 7th path of the Qingyun Dao. Jiang Ci stubbornly passed and persisted for a full 30 days each time. At this point, the trial of the Qingyun Dao had been going on for exactly 5 years. However, after reaching the 7th step, Jiang Ci knew that it was his limit. Not only was the trial getting more and more difficult, but his strength had also reached a certain level. Forget it, let's stop here. He looked at the changes in the experience points panel. Dao of Fire, 15 025 50 000 000, amplitude, 370, 36, it was a huge improvement. The comprehension of the Dao of Heaven and Earth was divided into 10 levels. According to the conversion of Dharmic Dao experience, the Dao of Fire had just reached the 3rd realm. With the enhancement of the Dharmic Dao, the amplitude would also increase. Jiang Ci's spiritual power amplitude had increased by 170 times compared to before the trial of the Qingyun Dao. As for his actual combat strength, it was much more than that. Next, the trial will become more and more difficult. Even if I can continue to improve the Dao of Fire experience, it will only increase by a little. It's difficult to produce a qualitative change in strength. Now, I'll start going all out, charge. Let's see what ranking I can achieve in the end. Jiang Ci's eyes gradually became excited and his blood boiled. The culling shadow sword was also vibrating gently and getting ready to attack. After holding it in for so long, he could finally go all out. He was now ranked 12th in the trial. At the same time, the two immortals and the group of Dao integration powerhouses saw Jiang Ci in the illusory space and knew that he was about to really exert his strength. Among the top 20, only Ji Wei, who was in first place, and Yang Jiufeng, who was in second place, had made it to the 8th Qingyun Dao. The others had stopped at the 7th Qingyun Dao. As for River Word, how far could he reach in the end? Haha, it's been 5 years and this kid is finally going to go all out. I wonder if he can make it to the 8th Qingyun Dao. Judging from his performance in the recent trials, it's probably going to be difficult. However, it shouldn't be a problem for him to make it to the top 10. Many Dao integration powerhouses made guesses. All the geniuses who had already been eliminated instantly became lively when they heard the words of the Dao integration powerhouse. They couldn't see the scene in the illusory space, so they didn't know the specific situation of Jiang Ci's trial. What a freak. Does he really want to hear me play? Mu Ning shook his head. His final ranking was 7th. If Jiang Ci's ranking was higher than his, then according to the previous bet, he would lose. Our sect master once said that Jiang Ci's strength is at most in the top 300 of the finals. This is too illogical. Looking at the way he's wasting time, he must have made a breakthrough in the middle of the battle and wanted to advance further. I reckon that after these few years, seeing that he hasn't improved much, he doesn't want to persist anymore. No matter what the result is, this is a strong opponent. Even if Jiang Ci fell at this step, he would still be ranked 12th in the trial. There was no doubt about his strength. While the crowd was discussing the matter, Ji Wei's expression remained indifferent as he sat alone in a corner of the green jade platform. No one dared to approach him. There were also people who wanted to approach him, but they were all frightened by his aura that kept others at arm's length. Ji Wei only glanced at Jiang Ci's ranking slightly and didn't pay much attention to it. The reason being, even if Jiang Ci exploded, he wouldn't be able to catch up with his result. On the other hand, the young girl in a red dress, Yang Jiufeng, who ranked 2nd in the trial, looked at Jiang Ci's ranking curiously. She wanted to know more about Jiang Ci's strength, such as his Dharmic Dao realm, moves, and so on. Unfortunately, when she was collecting information about the opponent previously, she didn't pay much attention to Jiang Ci. Now, she couldn't see the situation of Jiang Ci's trial and could only see the ranking. It seems that he should be a sinister and cunning person. His ranking was so low previously, so he must have hidden a lot of things. Yes, I have to pay attention. If I encounter him in the arena later, I can be on guard in advance, Yang Jiufeng said seriously, which was rare, in the illusory space, the 8th step of the 7th Qingyun Dao. It was a world that resembled purgatory. In the darkness, there were only wisps of pale flames that were constantly jumping. Trial taker, please kill 100 silver yakshas of the demon race within 30 days. All of a sudden, 100 tall figures walked out of the darkness. Each figure had a pair of short silver wings and a pair of silver horns on their foreheads. The pale flames were jumping on their bodies. They were the silver yakshas of the royal bloodline of the demon race. It was a powerful race that made countless human cultivators tremble in fear. As soon as Jiang Ci entered, his aura was raised to the highest and he was ready to fight. Human, die. The 100 silver yakshas roared in unison and attacked Jiang Ci with their white bone tridents. The trial targets of the 7th Qingyun Dao are all equivalent to the geniuses in the top 100 of the finals. These silver yakshas have the royal bloodline of the demon race and are stronger. With that thought in mind, Jiang Ci's sword flashed and countless sword shadows whizzed out. Clang, clang, clang. The silver yakshas waved their tridents and easily blocked the countless sword shadows. In the next moment, they arrived in front of Jiang Ci. The white bone trident, accompanied by terrifying pale flames, was swung up and smashed towards River Word. The surging demonic aura was terrifying. If one's willpower was weak, their mind would be affected. However, Jiang Ci was not afraid. He was determined and his body swayed. Under the gale domain, his speed reached the extreme and he managed to dodge the ferocious attacks. The sword domain alone is still a little weak. With a thought, Jiang Ci used the sword domain as the core and integrated the Li Fire Dao and Gale domain into it. Countless dark red sword shadows appeared again. Within a radius of 1,000 kilometers, they whistled and raged like a gust of wind. However, this time, the countless sword shadows were not scattered by Jiang Ci. Instead, they suddenly condensed and merged into one sword. Countless sword shadows condensed on the killing shadow sword. The three Dao techniques combined and the Dao runes that were emitted were extremely strange, as if they were connected to this space. Roar. Those silver yakshas seemed to have sensed the danger and let out a thunderous roar. The terrifying sound waves swept over 1,000 kilometers. Another wave of demonic chi surged forth. Boom, under the powerful force, 130,000-foot-long white bone tridents tore through the darkness. They completely covered the position where Jiang Ci was. If he could not block it, he would be directly turned into meat paste. Haha, it's over. Jiang Ci laughed, revealing a strong sense of confidence. After the three Dao techniques combined, the power of the sword technique increased tremendously. At the same time, the wind and fire were born together. Under the influence of the Li fire, his gale domain was also strengthened. His speed was even faster than before. All of a sudden, Jiang Ci disappeared into the dark space. Only the pale flames could occasionally illuminate his figure. Swoosh, swoosh. A dark red sword shadow kept flashing in the darkness. Those silver yakshas with demonic aura roared and fell one after another. He passed the 8th step of the 7th Qingyun Dao. He rose to 7th place in the trial. It was worth mentioning that this was the first time Jiang Ci displayed the fusion of Dao techniques in the Qingyun Dao trial. It was the strongest attack. Chapter 326. In the sky above the purple clouds continent. Immortal Iliang and Immortal Chuha's eyes lit up. The two of them had seen the battle between Jiang Ci and Mu Ning during the division battles. They knew that Jiang Ci had a Dao technique fusion technique. The fusion of three great Dao techniques was Jiang Ci's strongest ability at the moment. He was finally willing to use it at this point in the finals. This little guy's Dao technique fusion technique is even stronger than the last time. It's rare for young people to fuse three Dao techniques, but this little guy is getting better and better, Immortal Iliang said with a smile. Under normal circumstances, the geniuses who participated in the 9 regions genius battle would basically specialize in one Dao technique because they had less years of cultivation. Very few people could be like Jiang Ci, who not only had 3 decent Dao techniques but could also fuse them together. Although the fusion is still a little uneven, it has the uniqueness of the sword Dao and the nature of the wind and fire. The power of his sword is not inferior to the 6th realm of rare Dao techniques. Immortal Chuha also nodded, which was a rare sight. Their attitudes were relaxed and serious, respectively, as they judged Jiang Ci's strength. At the same time, the Dao integration powerhouses were even more surprised. He can think of a Dao technique fusion technique at such a young age, and his strength has increased so much in an instant. This is interesting. With this technique, he has the strength to compete for the top 10. There was one more contender for the top 10. Wei Sheng was also very surprised. Jiang Ci's performance had refreshed his opinion of him again. In the beginning, he thought that Jiang Ci could enter the top 500 of the finals, then the top 300, and now the top 10. Haha, the more surprises, the better. Next, on the 9th step of the 7th Qingyun path, the trial target was 100 powerful Rakshasas from the Ghost Clan. However, Jiang Ci used the fusion of 3 great Dao techniques to pass the trial faster than the previous step. The reason was very simple. It was because the Dao of Fire was very effective against the Ghost Clan. After that, Jiang Ci did not stop and stepped onto the 8th Qingyun path under everyone's watchful eyes. In the first trial space, there were 100 dragon pythons. Each dragon python exuded a rare Dao aura of the Dao of Heaven and Earth, possessing the strength of the top 20 in the final. With 100 of them added together, it would be even more powerful. Currently, there were only 2 people who had passed this stage, Ji Wei and Yang Jiufeng. Although Mo Hong, who was ranked 3rd, had made it to this stage, he did not pass it. After that, Jiang Ci's performance in this trial astonished all of the Dao integration stage powerful beings once again. Just now, many Dao integration powerhouses asserted that Jiang Xi could only reach the 9th step of the 7th Qingyun Dao. But now, in the face of Jiang Xi's actual performance, he could only shake his head. This was because Jiang Xi had combined the 3 Daos into one. He had killed all 100 dragon pythons that possessed the rare Dao of heaven and earth. After passing this stage, he would be able to make a breakthrough. Jiang Xi's ranking rose to 3rd place. A genius who rose from the bottom all the way to the top 3 hasn't appeared in tens of thousands of years. However, the next stage won't be that easy. The flame giant is a strange life form in the universe and is naturally good at controlling the power of flames. Regardless of whether he passed or not, he's already very strong. If he were in the previous 9 regions' genius battles, he would definitely get 1st place in the trial. While the Dao integration powerhouses were surprised, they no longer dared to assert what Jiang Xi's limit was. Then, Jiang Xi ascended to the 2nd trial of the 8th Qingyun Dao. Ji Wei was the only one who passed this stage, and Yang Jiufeng only killed 32 flame giant. Each of the 100 flame giants was 100,000 meters tall and had a ferocious aura like a godfiend. The Dao aura that they exuded was also a rare Dao of heaven and earth. In the face of such a powerful trial target, Jiang Xi was drowned in the sea of fire in just a moment. Soon, he was injured. Not to mention their large size, they're actually so fast too. The explosion of flames gave these flame giants extreme speed. Boom! Jiang Xi rushed out of the sea of fire with blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. His entire body was as red as a piece of fine iron that had been burned red. There were many serious injuries on his body. Have I reached my limit? Then it's the last fight. I'll kill as many as I can. Jiang Xi went berserk. He gave up on defense and fought with all his might. He unleashed his speed and sword techniques to the extreme. In the space of fire, there seemed to be thousands of Jiang Xi. The dark red sword shadows were like a curtain. They kept flashing around the godfiend flame giants. Kill, 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 10, 20, 30. The Dao integration powerhouses were completely shocked. Jiang Xi's performance was beyond their expectations. In the end, Jiang Xi killed 45 flame giants. He was torn into pieces by the other flame giants and turned into ashes. However, his ranking in the trial had surpassed Yang Jiufeng, who was originally in 2nd place. Jiang Xi's ranking in the trial was fixed at 2nd place. This ranking was spread throughout the 9 regions of the Dao Alliance through the sky-connecting mountain and river diagram. The human world remembered Jiang Xi's name. Almost everyone was shocked by Jiang Xi's ranking. There were also many people who cheered for Jiang Xi. In the past 5 years, those who had been paying attention to the 9 regions genius tournament had all heard of him. Everyone knew that Jiang Xi's journey had been arduous and difficult. Step by step, he had never stopped. His ranking had risen little by little every day. In the end, he had risen from the bottom 10 million to the 2nd place. This was too inspiring. Jiang Xi is the glory of the blue planet. He is the glory of the entire blue planet. Wu Kuei, the sect leader of the Zhongyun sect, said excitedly. He had assigned the title of the highest honor on the blue planet to Jiang Xi. I hereby announce that I will choose one of the vital star systems under the jurisdiction of the Zhongyun sect and give it to Jiang Xi, Wu Kuei said at the end. At Dudu Manor, Xian Tian rushed back from the Zhongyun sect and told Jiang Dudu the news. The little girl's eyes lit up when she heard the news. They were rich. A vital star system had tens of thousands of vital stars. It was enough to support the rise and prosperity of a top immortal Dao sect. With this, the mountain sea star trade would have the foundation to soar. The Dao Alliance Heavenly Court was located in the middle of the 9 regions. It occupied a boundless continent that was light years in size. At this moment, in a remote palace in the flowing time palace of the Dao Alliance Heavenly Court. By Lass, that 3rd brother of yours isn't simple. He actually obtained the 2nd place in the finals. The geniuses in the finals are all chosen from the trillions of people in the 9 regions. Mo Qian was very emotional as he told Li Baibai the news. Li Baibai smiled. Of course. You have to work harder too. You can't fall behind the three of you. Otherwise, as your master, I will lose face. Mo Qian smiled. Li Baibai smiled and continued to cultivate. Chapter 327. Soaring Rainbow Planet. In a luxurious palace. Yuan Zhangshuo, the manager of Soaring Rainbow Planet. At this moment, he was staring blankly at the sky above Soaring Rainbow Planet, at the skyspan mountain river diagram that covered the sky. On it was the ranking of the 9 regions Genius Battle Qingyun Path Trial. The top 10 names of the trial were all shining with golden light. The second place was Jiang Ci. Even though Yuan Zhangshuo was a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator, his body was uncontrollably slumped on the chair in the palace. It's over. It's all over. Because of the conflict between him and Jiang Ci, the news had long spread in Soaring Rainbow Sect. Now, because of Jiang Ci's rise in the 9 regions genius battle, his future in Soaring Rainbow Sect was ruined. Soon, an early-stage Essence Soul Elder of Soaring Rainbow Sect arrived at the palace. Yuan Zhangshuo, the sect master has assigned you to guard the flying hell planet. Leave this place quickly. Yuan Zhangshuo shuddered as if he had been struck by lightning. The flying hell planet was the place where Soaring Rainbow Sect suppressed criminals. Soaring Rainbow Sect controlled hundreds of thousands of planets with life, and all the criminals they wanted were locked up in the flying hell planet. The environment there was extremely harsh, and being sent there was worse than death. However, he could only go. Because now, he did not even have the right to die. On a remote planet of life in the pale blue planet. Patriarch Qing Xian hid in the mortal world, and his current appearance was no different from a mortal youth. After he finished looking at the final ranking change on the skyspan mountain river diagram, the blood in his eyes flickered. The bloody light in his eyes pulsed, and then he quickly left this place and disappeared from this planet. Such a genius is no longer someone I can deal with. If he wants to deal with me, he only needs to say a word, and countless forces will help him find my traces. I can't stay in the 9 regions Dao Alliance any longer. Leave immediately. To the extraterritorial battlefield. With the Blood Qi Spirit Fruit, I can use it to help me reach Dao integration through endless slaughter. The youthful Patriarch Qing Xian was extremely decisive. He steered the flying ship and kept shuttling through the starry sky outside the 9 regions Dao Alliance. As for Earth, he still had a glimmer of hope. He was a determined person, and it was difficult for him to give up on something. In the skyspan mountain river diagram, Purple Cloud's continent, on a huge green jade platform. Wei Yisheng's figure flashed and arrived in front of the 5 Poisons Old Freak. The face of the 5 Poisons Old Devil, who was still in shock, changed, and he hurriedly tried to avoid him. However, he discovered that a power that far surpassed the Tao of heaven and earth had bound him, making him unable to move. High Immortal. The 5 Poisons Ghost's face was filled with bitterness. One of the 2 immortals in the starry sky had made a move. Many thanks, exalted immortals. Wei Yisheng cupped his fists towards Immortal Yi Liang and Immortal Chu He. Then, he smiled at the 5 Poisons Ghost and said, 5 Poisons, you give me your evaluation. How did Jiang Ci from our Kanglan Star region perform this time? Excellent. Excellent. The 5 Poisons Devil gave a hollow laugh. Phew, the power that bound him had disappeared. The 5 Poisons Old Devil hurriedly flashed to another place, hiding far away. Wei Yisheng didn't chase after him. He was in a particularly good mood and stroked his curly beard proudly. This was even better than winning a fight. Jiang Ci, that little guy, he got 2nd place in the trial. He sighed. How many years had it been? How many years had it been since the Kanglan Star region had been so proud? This time, not only did Jiang Ci get 2nd place in the trial, but there was also Mu Ning who got 7th place in the trial. One had to know that this trial was a competition of 96 million geniuses from 3,600 star regions. 2 geniuses from the Kanglan Star region had rushed into the top 10 of the trial. This was a record that hadn't been seen in millions or even tens of millions of years. In the starry sky, Immortal Chu He frowned and said seriously, it's not good to make a move like this. It's against the perfected cultivator's order. Immortal Yi Liang chuckled. It's just fun. It's no big deal. Whoosh. At this time, Jiang Xi's figure appeared on the green jade platform. Countless gazes instantly converged on him. However, Jiang Xi was frowning and pondering. It's a pity that the flame giant is a natural fire spirit. It's not only capable of controlling fire, but also has a strong resistance to fire attribute Dao techniques like Li Fire. Even if I combine 3 Dao techniques, it's difficult for me to fully exert my strength. He thought for a moment and then shook his head. If it weren't for the flame giant in the second stage, he would have been able to make it through more. Then, Jiang Xi found that he had returned to the green jade platform. Jiang Xi, you freak. Mu Ning yelled and came to Jiang Xi. Because Jiang Xi's ranking had soared at the last moment, he was pushed to the 8th place. It should be said that the original top 10, except for Ji Wei, had all been pushed back by 1 place. In the distance, the other young geniuses who ranked at the top of the trial were also looking at Jiang Xi with complicated eyes. Everyone had seen Jiang Xi climb up from the bottom and then stand above them. A strong opponent. This was everyone's unanimous opinion. And many people didn't know the specific information about Jiang Xi's strength. Even if they had collected information about Jiang Xi before, that information was already inaccurate. At that time, the outside world judged that Jiang Xi would be able to enter the top 300 of the finals. Now, Jiang Xi had the strength to compete for the top 10 of the finals. Ji Wei was the only one who only looked at Jiang Xi for a moment before looking away. His strength had already surpassed all the geniuses. As Jiang Xi's Qingyun Dao trial ended, the next round of the finals of the 9 regions genius battle finally began. 96 million geniuses once again formed a square array according to their respective star regions. 3,600 Dao integration powerhouses stood in the air. 2 immortals were looking down at the crowd in the starry sky. Immortal Yi Liang's voice sounded in the starry sky. The first round of the finals of the 9 regions genius battle is over, and the Qingyun Dao trial ranking has also been finalized. Congratulations to those in the first to the 360th place of the trial. You can directly become disciples of the Purple Heaven Sec. At this point, he paused and asked in a deep voice, "Is there anyone who doesn't want to?" The geniuses in the top 360 immediately said respectfully, "I'm willing." At this point, only a fool would say no. Everyone had come to participate in the 9 regions genius battle organized by the Purple Heaven sect with the intention of becoming a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. Immortal Yi Liang nodded in satisfaction and then smiled again. Next, the 361st to 13,320 places of the trial will undergo 2 rounds of one-on-one battles to compete for the remaining 3,240 spot. As for the others, I will take back the mark of your entry into the Tongtian Mountain River painting. Your 9 regions genius battle is over. It was over. There was no room for negotiation in the cruel trial. Being eliminated was being eliminated. Almost all of the more than 10 million young geniuses who had been eliminated in this round were indignant and reluctant, but they had no choice but to accept the outcome. Although there would be some luck involved in the first round of the Qingyun Dao trial, at the end of the day, it still depended on one's strength. Chapter 328. Immortal Yi Liang waved his sleeve, and the more than 10 million people who had been eliminated disappeared. There were only 13,320 geniuses left on the empty green jade platform. Now, there are a total of 12,960 people from the 361st to 13320 in the trial. The winners will enter and the losers will leave. The 6,480 people who won the first round will enter the second round of the arena battles. The remaining 3,240 people can also enter the Purple Heaven sect directly. Immortal Yi Liang's voice sounded again. As his words fell, 480 combat arenas appeared on the huge green jade platform, each of which covered an area of tens of thousands of square kilometers. The 12960 people were arranged in the order of the highest ranking and the lowest ranking before being sent to these arenas. Strength was the fairest way to go about things. While the first round of the arena battles was going on, the geniuses who ranked in the top 360 could take a break. Of course, Jiang Xi was the only one who needed to rest. The others had rested for at least a year. However, Jiang Xi didn't take a break in the end. Before the first round of the arena battles began, he and Mu Ning were called aside by Wei Yisheng. The Dao integration powerhouse wanted to give the two geniuses some pointers in person. In a while, Jiang Xi and Mu Ning would be participating in the third round of the arena battles. The two of you did very well. One of you ranked second and the other ranked 8th. This is a record that hasn't been broken in the Pale Blue Star region for millions of years, Wei Yisheng said with a satisfied smile. Thank you for the compliment, Lord. However, Wei Yisheng suddenly changed the topic. He said sternly, do you think you can definitely make it to the top 10 in the arena battles? Jiang Xi and Mu Ning shook their heads. As long as you don't get cocky, I can tell you clearly. Getting into the top 10 of the trial doesn't mean that you can get into the top 10 of the finals in the arena battles. A cold smile appeared on Wei Yisheng's rugged face. He continued. As far as I know, there are many geniuses who can compete for the top 10 in the finals this time, but they didn't rank high in the trial. It's because their Dharmic Dao is not suitable for the Qingyun Dao trial. For example, Lin Ling ranked 30th, and Li Xianxian, ranked 366th, both cultivate rare Daos of heaven and earth. One is the Dao of puppetry, the other is the Dao of charm. Moreover, both of them have already attained the 6th level. If it's a one-on-one situation, you can't guarantee that you'll win. Therefore, a low ranking in the trial doesn't mean that one's actual combat strength is weak. Wei Yisheng poured cold water on him mercilessly. The faces of Jiang Xi and Mu Ning both turned grave. If that was the case, the competition in the arena battles would be even more intense. The rare Dao of heaven and earth had reached the 6th level. In terms of Dao power, it had already surpassed a complete ordinary Dao of heaven and earth. Many late-stage essence soul cultivators did not have such a Dharmic Dao realm. Furthermore, the Dao of puppetry and the Dao of charm were mostly strange and notoriously difficult to deal with. A smile appeared on Wei Yisheng's face again when he saw the two little fellows' serious expressions. After pouring cold water on him, he naturally had to give him some motivation. He laughed. Therefore, I hope that the two of you will not slack off and give your all in the upcoming arena battles. Unleash your full strength and strive to enter the top 10 of the finals. The Purple Heaven sect has 9 levels of heaven. As long as you enter the top 10, you can become a disciple of the 3rd level of heaven. At that time, you'll have a meteoric rise. Mu Ning was a little confused. She had never heard of the Purple Heaven sect's 9 levels of heaven. Sir, is there no chance of entering the 4th level of heaven? Jiang Xi asked with a frown. The 4th level of heaven? Haha, it's good that you have this idea. Wei Yisheng laughed. Then he said, unfortunately, in the previous 9 regions' genius battles, as long as it was hosted by the Purple Heaven sect, only one person can enter the 4th level of heaven. And this time, Ji Wei's strength far surpasses all of you. This spot has already been reserved by him. The existence of the Purple Heaven sect's 9 levels of heaven was not a secret. Wei Yisheng did not doubt that Jiang Xi knew this only one person. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. Of course, there was detailed information about the Purple Heaven sect in the inherited memories that his master, Daoist Ge, had given him. In addition to controlling the huge Purple Heaven territory, the Purple Heaven sect also had 9 grotto heavens in the core area of the sect, called the 9 levels of heaven. These 9 grotto heavens were not small grotto heavens opened by essence soul or Dao integration powerhouses. Each of them was incomparably huge, covering a vast continent with an area of light years. The 1st level of heaven to the 4th level of heaven were the cultivation residences of countless disciples of the Purple Heaven sect. The 5th level of heaven to the 9th level of heaven were the cave residences of the sect's experts. In the Purple Heaven sect, everyone below the immortal realm was a disciple, and the 5th level of heaven was the cave residences of the Purple Heaven sect's tribulation transcender powerhouses. In other words, the 4th level of heaven was the highest position that the disciples of the Purple Heaven sect could reach before they became immortals. Those who could enter were all the top geniuses of the universe. Even a disciple of the fourth level of nascent soul stage could be compared to a Tao integration powerhouse. Jiang Xi originally thought that after his strength improved this time, he would try to enter the fourth level of heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. If he could enter, the risk of him returning the Purple Heaven Sword Sutra would be greatly reduced. When Wei Sheng saw that Jiang Xi and Mu Ning were silent, he thought that the two young people were both disappointed that they couldn't enter the fourth level of heaven. He sighed softly in his heart and smiled. It's already very good to be able to enter the third level of heaven. You have to know that there are many Tao integration cultivators in the Purple Heaven sect who are cultivating in the first level of heaven. If you can enter the third level of heaven, it will be easy for you to reach the Tao integration stage in the future. After Wei Sheng said that, he floated away without explaining too much and let the two young people slowly digest it. However, the two of them didn't feel disappointed at all. As soon as he left, Mu Ning was full of curiosity and asked Jiang Xi about the Purple Heaven Ninth Heaven. Jiang Xi didn't hide it either. Anyway, when Mu Ning entered the Purple Heaven sect, he would also find out about it at the same time. The first round of the arena battles of the 12,960 people began. Such a one-on-one battle was much more exciting than the Qingyun Dao trial. It was all based on strength. The winner advanced while the loser retreated. The group of geniuses used their strongest means and none of them dared to hold back. The battle was very exciting and various dharmic Tao attacks were accompanied by powerful spiritual power that continuously erupted in the arena. The reason being, everyone did not hold back and used their strongest means. They were all aiming to kill each other. Soon, the first round of the arena battles ended. The 6,480 people who won continued to participate in the second round of the arena battles. The top 360 geniuses of the Qingyun Dao trial were all watching these battles carefully. The reason being, there might be some of their opponents among the victors. It was now an excellent opportunity to understand their opponent. Jiang Xi observed the battles in the arena. On the other hand, he secretly opened the experience points panel to check. There were no changes in his cultivation level, dharmic Tao, and so on. The main thing was the balance of his experience points. He had also obtained a large amount of experience points through the Qingyun Dao trial. Experience points, 123, 548 million, the balance had exceeded 1 billion again. Chapter 329. In the Qingyun Dao trial this time, apart from the breakthrough and improvement of the Li Fire Dao, the other gain is the experience points reward for passing each level of the trial. The first level of the Qingyun Dao trial rewards 2 million experience points. From now on, the reward for each level will be increased by 100,000. In the end, I passed the first level of the 8th Qingyun Dao trial and was rewarded 3 million experience points. All the trials added up to a total of 962 million experience points. Jiang Xi calculated in his heart. Now, his experience points had exceeded 1 billion again. It was definitely more than enough to deduce the Gale Dao. However, it was definitely not enough to deduce the next realm of the sword domain. He still needed more experience points. The new source of experience points is almost here. Jiang Xi smiled gently. Although the specific ranking of the finals had not been decided yet, he had now confirmed that he had entered the top 3,600 of the finals. He had a chance to comprehend the ancient Tao source world. That was the source of all Tao, and it was said that one could see the Tao of heaven and earth with the naked eye. In his eyes, it was all experience point. The arena battles were not like the battles outside where space was limited. Both parties had limited space and could only fight. There was no other choice. Hence, the 2 rounds of the arena battles of the 12,960 people were carried out very quickly. In the end, there were only 3,240 victors left. In addition, there were the top 360 geniuses of the Qingyun Dao trial. At this point, the top 3,600 of the finals of the 9 regions genius battle had all been determined. Immortal Iliang's massive figure was high in the starry sky. He looked down at the crowd and said leisurely, the 3,240 victors, congratulations, you have also entered the Purple Heaven Sect. As for the 9,720 people who failed, it's a pity that you can only go this far. However, I hope that you don't give up. The 9 Regions Genius Battle is not the only way to enter the Purple Heaven Sect. If you work hard and cultivate, you can also become a disciple of the Purple Heaven Sect through other method. Of course, even if you don't enter the Purple Heaven Sect, it doesn't mean that you can't become a powerhouse in the future. There is no end to cultivation, and there are thousands of Tao techniques. There will always be a path that suits you. Immortal Iliang's voice echoed in the sky above the continent. The eyes of the 9,720 geniuses who had failed, who were initially disappointed, lit up again after hearing those words. Haha, being able to pass this stage doesn't mean that we are inferior to those people before us. We're still young. Our path has just begun. The nascent soul stage is just a stage of cultivation. There's still the essence divinity stage, Tao integration stage, and even the immortal stage. We still have a chance to catch up to them. I want to go back and cultivate in seclusion for 1,000 years. I won't come out until I reach the Tao. Seeing that everyone had regained their confidence, Immortal Yi Liang nodded with a smile. With a wave of his sleeve, he sent them out of the skyspan mountain and river diagram. His attitude towards these 9,720 people was completely different from his attitude towards the 10 million people. This was because the people who were eliminated in this round were not lacking in talent. They just lacked a little bit of strength and luck. There were only 3,600 geniuses left on the green jade stone platform, and many of them had smiles on their faces. Especially the 3,240 people who had just won, they were smiling even more. After all, victory always made people happy. Immortal Yi Liang looked at everyone and said with a smile, "Next up is you all. I'm sure there are people who have long heard of the existence of my Purple Cloud Sect's 9th heaven." Many of the 3,600 geniuses' eyes lit up with anticipation. The Tao Alliance had 3 core groups and 6 sects. Amongst them, the Violet Heaven Sect's reputation was on par with that of the Daoist Path, the Buddhist Path, and the Sword School. The Purple Heaven Sect's 9 levels of heaven was spread among many powerful clans and forces in the 9 regions. Those geniuses who came from extraordinary backgrounds were very clear that even the weakest first-level Sky Realm cultivator would not be able to achieve such a feat as long as they could enter. Their chances of reaching the Tao integration stage in the future would be greatly increased. However, there were still many people who did not understand the existence of the 9th heaven of the Purple Heaven Sect. Therefore, Immortal Yi Liang smiled and explained. The Purple Heaven Sect has 9 heavens. The first 4 heavens are where millions of disciples cultivate. From the first to the 4th layer, the best is of course the 4th layer. As everyone knows, no matter how many resources there are, they are still limited. It is impossible for everyone to enter the best level 4 heavens. So, next, you will have to determine the final ranking of the finals through the arena battles. Which heaven you can enter will be allocated according to your ranking. At this point, Immortal Yi Liang was stunned. Even the geniuses below could see his astonished expression. While everyone was puzzled, he smiled and said, "I have good news. Iron Mountain True Monarch told me just now. According to the rules of the previous tournaments, there is only one level 4 heavens spot. However, this year's 9 Regions Genius Tournament can have 2 extra spot." These words excited many of the geniuses who had the strength to fight for the top 10. They were so excited that their faces flushed red. 3 level 4 heavens spot. Jiang Xi's breathing quickened involuntarily. A chance. Even if Ji Wei took 1 spot, there were still 2 spots to fight for. The Tao integration experts were even more astonished. The rules that had been in place for so many years had actually changed this year. It should be the higher-ups of the Purple Heaven Sect. They saw that the strength of this tournament's geniuses far exceeded the previous ones, so they added 2 extra spots for level 4 heavens. The 9 Regions Genius Tournament this time is indeed extraordinary. There are already 3 geniuses who cultivate special Tao of heaven and earth. There are also a few youngsters like Yang Jiufeng and Mo Hong. If they were in the previous tournaments, they would also have the strength to fight for first place. In the starry sky, Immortal Yi Liang looked at the excited faces of the geniuses and nodded in satisfaction. It would be a problem if they were not excited. The Purple Heaven sect had 9 heavens, and level 4 heavens represented the highest status for the disciples. He continued. Next, I'll talk about the distribution of the level 1 to level 4 heavens, as well as the specific rewards for the finals. Before the 9 Regions Genius Tournament began, we announced some rewards. As long as you enter the top 3,600 of the finals, you will become a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. You will also receive a minimum of 100 million low-grade spirit crystals and a chance to comprehend the ancient Tao origin world. Everyone will have a chance to comprehend the ancient Tao origin world. As for which level 4 you will enter and how many spirit crystals you will receive, that will be determined by your ranking. 361-3600 will enter the level 1 heavens and receive 100 supreme grade spirit crystals. 11 to 360 will enter the level 2 heavens and receive 1000 supreme grade spirit crystals. 4th to 10th will enter the level 3 heavens and receive 10,000 supreme grade spirit crystals. The top 3 will enter the level 4 heavens and receive 100,000 supreme grade spirit crystals. Let me emphasize that the rankings here are not for the trial, but for the upcoming arena battles. The geniuses became excited again as soon as Immortal Yi Liang finished speaking. The Purple Heaven sect was too generous. 100 supreme grade spirit crystals were equivalent to 100 million low-grade spirit crystals. The top 3 would receive 100,000 supreme grade spirit crystals, which was equivalent to 100 billion low-grade spirit crystals. It was comparable to a top-tier Immortal Tao sect. Moreover, these rewards were distributed according to the rankings of the arena battles. Those who had been ranked low in the trial would now have a chance to charge to the top. Chapter 330. They are so rich. Jiang Xi's eyes widened. The Mountain Sea Star trade had been developing for more than 20 years, and the soaring Rainbow Star trade had increased it a little. Until now, it had only reached 1 billion. However, it would be very difficult for him to take out 1 billion low-grade spirit crystals at once. That was the difference between liquid assets and fixed assets. Now, as long as he entered the top 10, he would be able to obtain 10 billion low-grade spirit crystals. Of course, Jiang Xi also knew that spirit crystals were the least valuable among the 3 rewards. As long as he entered the Purple Heaven sect, even if it was the lowest first heaven, he would be able to obtain more resources. The resources he would obtain in the future could not be measured by money at all. It would be far more valuable than the spirit crystal reward. Not to mention, there was also a chance to enter the ancient Tao origin world. That was something that could not be obtained even with money. Many of the geniuses were filled with battle intent. Since the rewards would be distributed through battle, it would be a competition of strength. It would be absolutely fair. At that moment, Immortal Yi Liang's tone changed, and he chuckled. There is no absolute fairness in the laws of the universe. Therefore, not everyone will have the chance to participate in the 3rd round of the arena battles. We will choose 360 people from the winners of the previous 2 rounds of the arena battles. They will fight one-on-one with the top 360 people in the previous trial. Immortal Yi Liang's voice was ethereal as it echoed in the starry sky. The 3,240 geniuses who had just won 2 rounds of the arena battles were filled with battle intent. Because of the huge rewards, their battle intent surged. Hearing this, they immediately became nervous. Some could participate, and some could not. The list is as follows: Li Xianxian, Luan Ming, Lan Chungjiu. When Immortal Yi Liang finished reading out the 360 names, whoosh! The geniuses whose names were not read out immediately had a change of expression. They were indignant. Some of the more hot-tempered ones could not suppress the anger in their hearts and even asked loudly, "Exalted Immortal, why are you so sure that we are inferior to those 360 people?" Some of the bolder ones echoed, "Yes, we are not bad in the arena battles either. I'm indignant. Let us participate in the 3rd round of the arena battles. Let our strength speak for us." They had gone through the Qingyun Dao trial and 2 rounds of the arena battles. They had already come this far, and none of them were willing to give up. Immortal Chuha, who rarely spoke, suddenly snorted coldly. A power that far surpassed the Tao of heaven and earth descended. Bang bang bang. Under the powerful pressure of the immortal Tao, everyone knelt on the ground. This included the Tao integration stage experts. It's fine if you don't like it. Just leave my purple heaven sect. Immortal Chu, his voice was low, but it sounded like thunder. Who else is not convinced? Speak now. He was dressed in black armor, and his face was upright and serious. His words were emotionless. It was quiet. If you're not convinced, you can just leave. It was a simple sentence, but it was overbearing. The geniuses who had been shouting about their dissatisfaction had all quieted down. Their faces were filled with terror and disbelief. Some people did not understand why the Zixiao sect would treat them so overbearingly. They were all geniuses. Under the indiscriminate pressure, Jiang Xi also knelt on the ground. He felt very helpless. This was truly an unexpected calamity. Were there something wrong with these people's brains? Even after cultivating for several hundred years, he still did not understand this principle. What kind of existence was Purple Heaven sect? Of the 3 schools and 6 sects of the Tao Alliance, the Daoist path, the Buddhist Sangha, and the Sword School didn't care about anything. The true ruler of the 9 realms was the Violet Heaven sect. Didn't you see that the leader of the Heavenly Court was a member of Purple Heaven sect? Jiang Xi knew this very well from the very beginning. The 9 Realms Genius Tournament was, to put it bluntly, used by the immortal Tao sects, who stood at the peak of the universe, to select disciples. They were just disciples. Of course, they had to add the word genius, but genius was nothing. The 9 realms of the Tao Alliance occupied the most fertile territories in the universe. They nurtured countless life forms, and there was no shortage of geniuses. Ordinary geniuses like them would come in batches. As long as they had enough time, they could have as many as they wanted. The only ones who were truly valued by Purple Heaven sect were geniuses like Shi Wei, who only appeared once in a million years. After a round of intimidation, Immortal Chu he retracted his aura and calmed down once more. Now that the good cop was over, it was time to play the bad cop. Immortal Yi Liang's friendly laughter once more echoed through the stars. I've already told you that there is no such thing as absolute fairness in the laws of the universe. If you want to obtain fairness, you must first have strength. You are all geniuses of the human race. In the future, immortal Tao experts might be born among you. Thus, I hope that you can truly understand that strength is the most important thing. Don't be killed by your own naivety. Of course, there is no need to doubt the 360 people we've just selected. They are definitely fair. That's all I have to say. Now, let the 3rd round of arena battles begin. The 360 people we've just selected will fight against the top 360 people in the trial. The Purple Heaven sect will still decide the 2 sides. A moment later, the enormous green jade platform began to transform. 360 arenas appeared once more, each one tens of thousands of square kilometers in size. Jiang Xi's expression turned solemn, because no one knew who their opponents would be. If they encountered a freak like Shi Wei, it would be over. Whoosh! Immortal Yi Liang waved his sleeve, and the 720 people disappeared, appearing in pairs on the 360 arenas. The 360 battles were about to begin. Since the beginning of the 1st round of arena battles, the various vital planets of the Tao Alliance. Through the Skyspan River diagram in the sky, one would be able to see the battles. The 3rd round of arena battles could be said to be a showdown between the peak geniuses of the human race. Trillions of people were paying attention to this battle. 720 people. The winner would advance, and the loser would retreat. Who would win? Jiang Xi will definitely win. He will definitely enter the top 10. Mu Ning is also the glory of the Blue Star region. He also needs our support. Go Mu Ning. The people of the Blue Star region, and even the entire Blue Star region, were roaring and cheering for the 2 of them. The shepherd boy, who had a pure nature, was not that bad in terms of popularity. Brother, go for it. Jiang Dudu looked up at the enormous skyspan river diagram. On her shoulder, the thumb-sized remnant Dao integration stage ghost, Yin Tianxing, was also watching the arena battles. The Dao Alliance's 9 Zones Geniuses tournament is famous throughout the universe. The human race occupies the best territory in the universe and has also seized the most providence. These geniuses were born with the providence of heaven and earth. How enviable! Yin Tianxing sighed. Aren't the ghosts also blessed by the heavens? Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to become one of the peak races in the universe, Jiang Dudu continued. With the restriction on Yin Tianxing, she had a rough understanding of the situation of the ghosts. Master, you must be joking. If it weren't for the existence of the demons, the human race would have already destroyed the ghosts. Yin Tianxing smiled bitterly. Jiang Dudu shook her head. Even without the demons, the ghosts wouldn't have been destroyed because the human race needs an enemy. The universe is fair. If the human race doesn't have an enemy, the universe will definitely create a new one for the human race. Yin Tianxing was stunned for a moment and fell into deep thought. Jiang Dudu smiled and continued to look at the skyspan river diagram in the sky. The words just now were what Jiang Ci had said to her when he sealed the monsters on Earth. She had only made some slight changes. At that time, she had asked Jiang Ci why he didn't destroy all the monsters on Earth. Jiang Ci's answer was that he wanted to find an enemy for the humans on Earth. A race without an enemy would be destroyed sooner or later. Because nature was fair. If you didn't have an enemy, nature would create a new one for you at that time. If you weren't familiar with the new enemy, you might face a disaster. Be prepared for danger in times of peace. This was one of the survival rules that Jiang Ci had taught Jiang Dudu. If you wanted to become stronger and live forever, you had to have a sense of danger. Chapter 331. The 360 arena battles began at the same time. On the combat arena that was tens of thousands of square kilometers, Jiang Ci and another figure appeared at the same time. Who's my opponent? Jiang Ci looked at the other side. Xing Feng. It was a handsome young man, but at this moment, he had a sullen expression on his face. It's actually Jiang Ci. If it was before the Qingyun Dao trial, Xing Feng wouldn't take Jiang Ci seriously at all. However, things were completely different now. During the arena battles, very few people were willing to face Jiang Ci. It was because everyone knew too little about Jiang Ci's strength. The most they knew was the information about Jiang Ci's strength in the first stage of the 9 Regions Genius battle. Besides, during the previous Qingyun Dao trial, only the 2 immortals and those Dao integration powerhouses could check the situation in the illusory space. Hence, they had no idea how strong Jiang Ci was, what realm his Dharmic Dao was at, and what powerful moves he had. If they didn't know their opponent well, they would be at a disadvantage. As long as there's still a chance, we can't give up. The ranking of the trial doesn't completely represent one's strength. I'm good at speed, so I can kill him with my speed. Xing Feng quickly made a judgment with a sullen expression. Kill. With a flash of lightning, he disappeared on the spot. Xing Feng, ranked 372nd in the trial, cultivates the rare Dharmic Dao, the Dao of Lightning, and is good at speed. Jiang Ci was also confident. Whoosh! The Gale Domain and the Dao of Fire descended at the same time. The wind and fire merged and circled around him. His speed immediately reached the highest. It was a battle of speed. The 2 of them disappeared from the ring. Those who were weak couldn't see it at all. In the outside world, the people who were watching the battle through the Tongtian mountain and river painting could only see an empty ring. Only powerhouses above the Essence Soul realm could see it clearly. In the ring, Xing Feng's figure flickered like lightning, and his ability to accelerate instantly was even faster than Jiang Ci's. Good opportunity. With his instant acceleration, he appeared beside Jiang Ci. He slashed out with his saber. Kacha. Fart. 2 sounds sounded at the same time. 2 figures reappeared on the arena. Jiang Ci's left arm was broken, but there was a sword in Xing Feng's heart. In this battle, Jiang Ci won. If he entered the top 360 of the finals, He would get at least 1,000 top-grade spiritual crystals and become a disciple of the second sky of the Purple Heaven sect. When the two of them returned to the green jade platform, Xingfeng asked Jiang Xi unwillingly, why? His speed was clearly faster. Although your speed is fast, your attacks are not as fast as mine, Jiang Xi said softly. Xingfeng was stunned. Jiang Xi shook his head. Although he had won, he did not relax at all. After all, he had also lost an arm. To be able to reach this step, none of them are weak. The Dao of Lightning is also a rare Dao technique. If his Dao technique was even more profound, my attack speed wouldn't be able to keep up with him. Because it was a battle of speed, it started quickly and ended quickly as well. In the other arenas, there were still many battles going on. Jiang Xi did not say anything more and turned his eyes to the other arenas. Now was a good opportunity to observe his opponents. Mu Ning's song can not only hurt the body but also destroy the soul. This is not the Dao of life, but the Dao of death. Ji Wei. Hiss, this freak didn't even move. He just shattered the void and turned his opponent into nothingness. What's that? Poison. What a terrifying move. The opponent was silently struck by it. Jiang Xi watched many arena battles at the same time and learned more about the strength of the other geniuses. For example, this was the first time he had watched Ji Wei's battle at such a close distance. It was much more intuitive than watching the videos before. Although what everyone was showing now might not be their full strength, he could already see a lot. None of these geniuses who have the strength to compete for the top 10 are easy to deal with. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. Only by entering the top 10 could they have a chance to compete for the top 3. Swish, swish, swish. Figures appeared on the green jade platform from time to time. 360 arena battles ended one after another. Jiang Xi and Mu Ning from the Pale Blue Star region had successfully passed. In other words, all the top 360 geniuses had won, except for a few who had failed. Those who had failed could only accept it helplessly, although they were unwilling. After the third round of arena battles ended, Immortal Iliang's leisurely voice sounded again. Next is the fourth round of arena battles. This time, our Purple Heaven sect will choose 20 people from those who won just now to compete for the top 10. Many of the 360 geniuses who had just won changed their expressions. This move again, this is too domineering. In this way, the 340 geniuses who were not chosen would have no chance of entering the top 10. They would be directly assigned to the second heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. But this time, no one dared to say anything. Immortal Chuha's earlier display of intimidation had made everyone realize one thing. In the eyes of the Purple Heaven sect, they were not as important as they thought. Immortal Iliang saw that everyone was silent and nodded in satisfaction. He smiled and said, "We have already decided on these 20 people based on the situation of their previous attacks." Based on the situation of their previous attacks. Many people's expressions changed. Some of them had hidden their moves and did not use them. Thus, many people became nervous again. Jiang Xi frowned. He shouldn't have any problems. However, he did not have absolute confidence in the Purple Heaven sect's decision. After all, the Purple Heaven sect used standards to judge. While everyone was nervous, Immortal Iliang did not keep them in suspense and directly announced, "The list of 20 people is as follows: Ji Wei, Chang Xin, Yang Jiufeng, Luan Ming, Mu Ning, Qingyu, Quang Lang, Xiao Hu, Jiang Xi, Qiao Guanqing. The duels will be in the order I just announced. The first will be against the second, the third will be against the fourth." Many people who had their names called secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Those whose names were not called were naturally incomparably dejected, their faces filled with bitterness, but soon, everyone turned their attention back to the duels of the 20 people. After the duels were arranged according to the order, everyone became lively. Chang Xin is too tragic. He actually fought against Ji Wei. There is no difference whether he chose or not. Luan Ming against Yang Jiufeng is not good either. Yang Jiufeng's fire fist is too strong. Everyone discussed animatedly. Those who wanted to watch a good show did not mind if it was more exciting. The handsome young man called Chang Xin had a bitter smile on his face. The joy that had just risen was instantly suppressed. 20 people, 10 duels in the arena. Everyone paid close attention to every duel. This was because whoever won this round of duels would enter the top 10 and become a third heaven disciple of the Purple Heaven Sect. The 3,600 Dao integration experts standing in the air were also paying attention to the duel arrangements. Jiang Xi against Qiao Guancheng. Many Dao integration experts laughed. This time, there will be a good show. That Jiang Xi is actually going against the disciple of the Five Poisons Devil. Many Dao integration experts laughed and looked at Wei Sheng and the Five Poisons Devil. The Purple Heaven Sect's arrangement was really a coincidence. Chapter 332. Five Poisons, your disciple is in danger. He actually went up against Jiang Xi, a Dao integration stage expert joked. So what? In terms of fighting on the arena, my Five Poisons Dao is not inferior to anyone. Ranking in the trial did not represent one's true strength. My disciple obtained my 5 poison essence. This Jiang Xi is unlucky to have a showdown with my disciple. The 5 poisons old ghost coldly snorted. You sure talk big. Wei Sheng sneered. Just watch. The 5 poisons old ghost said with a gloomy face, no longer speaking. Wei Sheng's heart sank as he frowned slightly, feeling a little worried. He and the 5 poisons old ghost had been enemies for many years, so he was naturally aware of the power of the 5 poisons Dao. Although the Dao of 5 poisons had 5 in its name, it included more than 5 poisons. The more poisons one fused into this Dao, the stronger one's Dao would be. Similarly, the Dao of 5 poisons was not suitable for the Qingyun Dao trial. Just as the 5 poisons ghost had said, ranking in the trial did not represent one's true strength. His disciple, Qiao Guancheng, ranked 124th in the final trial. But in a true battle on the arena, the advantages of the Dao of 5 poisons were revealed. In the third round of arena battles just now, Qiao Guancheng easily disposed of his opponent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been chosen by the Purple Heaven Sect as one of the final 20 people. I just don't know how many types of poisons this little 5 poisons has fused. If there are more than 3,000 types, it will be troublesome. Wei Sheng's gaze landed on River Word. The fourth round of the arena battles was about to begin. On the green jade stone platform, the 20 selected people were observing each other's opponents. Jiang Xi's gaze locked onto a young man with a strange face. This person's clothes were brightly colored, with all kinds of strange poisonous beasts embroidered on them. Just looking at them would make one's heart turn cold. His Qiao Guancheng, a genius from the True Shen region's Tuluo Star region. He cultivates the rare Dao technique, the Dao of 5 poisons. His master is the Dao integration stage expert, the 5 poisons devil. Jiang Xi's expression was calm, but his heart was not at ease. Before the start of the finals, Earth had sent him the information of Qiao Guancheng's strength. Moreover, he was ranked at the front. He had also seen Qiao Guancheng make a move in the previous round of battle. This person's poison was soundless, and could target both the body and the soul. It was even weirder than Mu Ning's Dao of Life. When fighting against such a genius, the slightest carelessness would lead to defeat. Jiang Xi, Qiao Guancheng was also observing Jiang Xi, and a strong desire to fight rose in his heart. His eyes were like those of a snake, flashing with a shrewd light. His long tongue slid out and licked his face. True geniuses were all prideful and believed that they were not inferior to others. Qiao Guancheng wouldn't admit defeat in advance just because Jiang Xi came in second place in the Qingyun Dao trial. Unless Jiang Xi was like Xi Wei, whose strength far surpassed theirs. On the green jade platform, there were only 10 fighting arenas left. Each area was still tens of thousands of square kilometers and was covered by a formation boundary. Immortal Yi Liang waved his sleeve and the 20 people disappeared. The battle for the top 10 began at the same time. Jiang Xi and Qiao Guancheng appeared on one of the arenas. Their auras instantly rose to the peak. Jiang Xi, today I'm going to let you know that the ranking in the trial does not represent one's true strength. Even if I'm in 124th place, I can still kill you, the one in second place. Qiao Guanqing sneered and licked his face with his snake-like tongue. Cut the crap, let's fight. Jiang Xi refused to admit defeat. There was a buzz. The sword shadow trembled slightly, and the space in the combat arena began to vibrate. His body swayed and he dashed out. He left behind several phantoms and it was unknown which one was the real body. On the opposite side, Qiao Guanqing was surprisingly calm. The weapon in his hand was a snake staff. The powerful Dao runes, mixed with thousands of chilling auras, immediately spread out. There's more than 5 poisons. In the sky above the 10 arenas. Oh no! Wei Yisheng's expression changed. His spiritual senses discovered that Jiang Xi had already been poisoned as soon as the arena battle began. There were thousands of poisons, but it was not easy to integrate them into one's dharmic Dao. At this moment, the 5 poison Dao that Qiao Guanqing cast had already fused 5,000 poisons. Rare dharmic Dao, 5 poison Dao level 5 realm. The strength that Qiao Guanqing unleashed was not inferior to Jiang Xi's. Could it be that Jiang Xi has no fate with the top 10? Wei Yisheng could not help but worry for Jiang Xi. With this defeat, he could only enter the Purple Heaven sect's second heaven. Below, almost instantly, Jiang Xi approached the shocked Qiao Guanqing. Under the Gale domain, with Jiang Xi's speed, the other party had no chance to react. After all, this combat arena was only tens of thousands of square kilometers in length and width. Whoosh! With a slash of his sword, Qiao Guanqing suddenly dissipated like a bubble. Oh no! Jiang Xi was shocked. The Qiao Guanqing in front of him was actually an illusion. His poisoned. Jiang Xi reacted immediately. The Dao of Fire descended instantly. In addition to the Gale domain. The wind helped the fire. However, these attacks were not targeted at Qiao Guanqing, but at himself. Because fire suppressed poison, Jiang Xi's body was being roasted by the Dao of Fire. The pain of being in purgatory filled his mind. His skin and flesh were quickly burned, and many of his bones were clearly visible. This method was very dangerous. If he did not control it well, he would be burned to death. However, the poison that had silently entered his body was also burned to ashes. Crash! The space in front of Jiang Xi shattered like a water curtain. Now's the time! He revealed his eerie white bony arm, holding a long sword, and suddenly stabbed out. What? He actually cured my poison. That's a Dao technique that combines 5,000 types of strange poisons. Qiao Guanqing, who had already attacked Jiang Xi's side, was shocked. Kai! The sword pierced through the space and pierced Qiao Guanqing's body. Jiang Xi won. Swoosh! The 2 figures reappeared on the green jade platform. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Qiao Guanqing roared unwillingly and smashed the ground with force. If he lost this round, he could only enter the second heaven. However, his strength was qualified to enter the third heaven. The difference of 1 level was like the difference between heaven and earth. On the other hand, Jiang Xi breathed a sigh of relief. It was a close call and he almost lost. It's really impossible to guard against poison-related Dao techniques. If the poison was detoxified a little slower, Qiao Guanqing would have burned him to death. Looking at his unscathed body, Riverward chuckled. Fortunately, be it the Qingyun Dao trial or the arena battle, the injuries he suffered were all temporary. Once the battle was over, his body would recover. In the sky above the green jade platform, Wei Yisheng also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Jiang Xi's reaction was quick and ruthless enough. He thought of burning himself with Li fire to detoxify the poison in his body. He smiled and looked at the 5 poisons old ghost who was not far away. However, this time, he did not go over to engage in a verbal exchange. It was not worthwhile. The 5 poisons old ghost's face was extremely sullen. The disciple he valued the most actually lost. What a ruthless little guy. He sighed. Faced with such a result, he was speechless. Not only was Jiang Xi strong, he was also so ruthless to himself. Against such a ruthless person, his disciple deserved to lose. Chapter 333. Very quickly, The 10 arena battles had all ended. The victors were the 10 strongest geniuses of this year's 9 Zones Genius Tournament. This time, not only were there golden rankings, but the Skyspan River diagram had also spread their appearances throughout the 9 Zones Dao Alliance. Ji Wei, Yang Jiufeng, Mo Hong, Mu Ning, Jiang Xi, Li Xianxian, Feng Lu, Lin Ling Kuang Lang, and Xiong Nantian. The 10 of them stood in a row. Immortal Iliang stood in the starry sky and chuckled. Very good. Your performance just now has proven your strength. However, the competition is cruel. If you want better treatment and resources, you'll have to continue to work hard. Next up is the 5th round of matches. The victors will advance, and the losers will withdraw. This time, the arrangement of the matches, he purposely paused here. Apart from Ji Wei, the 10 strongest geniuses of the human race were all nervous. At the same time, they were all silently praying that they could not meet that freak, Ji Wei. They were already in the top 10, and the 3 spots for the 4th heaven of the Purple Heaven sect were right in front of them. If they met that freak, they would be gone. We'll draw lots to decide. Immortal Iliang continued. Draw lots, fuck. The geniuses, including Jiang Xi, were all speechless. They still had to be nervous. This arrangement was completely based on luck. Then, Immortal Iliang waved his sleeve. A wooden box that blocked out spiritual sense appeared in front of everyone. There were 5 pairs of balls inside, and each pair was marked with the same number. The 2 who drew the same number would fight each other. The 10 of them stepped forward to draw lots. Ji Wei was the first, and he expressionlessly took out a ball. The number was 5. Thus, the other 9 became even more nervous. Second, Yang Jiufeng. The number was 1. Third, Mo Hong. The number was 3. Fourth, Mu Ning. The number was 5. Whoosh. The crowd of Dao integration experts and geniuses instantly became lively. As a Dao integration expert of the Pale Blue Star region, Wei Sheng could only shake his head with a wry smile. Mu Ning's luck was too bad. In this year's 9 Zones Genius Tournament, there were 3 geniuses who cultivated special Daos of heaven and earth: Ji Wei, Mu Ning, and Mo Hong. This could be seen from the fact that the Purple Heaven sect had given 3 spots for the 4th heaven. Everyone had high hopes for these 3 geniuses. Now, 2 of them have met. The loser would lose the opportunity to fight for a place in the 4th heaven. No matter how he looked at it, Mu Ning was going to lose. The remaining 6 geniuses who had yet to draw their lots let out sighs of relief. Jiang Xi patted Mu Ning on the shoulder and comforted him. Good luck, little brother. She wasn't gloating over his misfortune. She was sincerely comforting him. But Mu Ning was very calm. He smiled and said, "Didn't you say so? It's not time to admit defeat yet. Good luck." Jiang Xi encouraged. Then, Jiang Xi's group of 6 also finished drawing lots. 10 people and 5 matches were announced. Ji Wei, Mu Ning, Yang Jiufeng, Lin Ling, Mo Hong, Li Xianxian, Jiang Xi, Wild Wave, Xiong Nantian, and Feng Lu. Wild Waves? Jiang Xi didn't underestimate his opponent. He would treat any opponent seriously. Jiang Xi, pay attention to Kuang Lang, Mu Ning reminded. Kuang Lang? Jiang Xi's expression changed slightly, and he glanced at the young man with snow-white hair. According to the information that Earth had sent him previously, Kuang Lang cultivated an ordinary Dao technique, the mystic water Dao, and he had already reached the 8th realm. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that his performance didn't quite match his name. He was neither wild nor reckless, and he was inconspicuous. Besides, he had rushed up from the 360th place in the Qingyun Dao trial. There were only a few people who could do that. In general, Kuang Lang was the steady type. Be it the Qingyun Dao trial or the 3 rounds of the arena battle. He barely passed the top 10 out of 20. That was the problem. The 8th realm of the ordinary Dao of heaven and earth was only equivalent to the 4th realm of the rare Dao of heaven and earth. The strength of such a Dao technique was definitely the lowest among the top 10. In fact, the 10 people who lost just now were stronger than Kuang Lang in Dao techniques. He entered the top 10 with the mystic water Dao. Jiang Xi immediately became wary. Not simple. In the sky above the arena. This Quang Lang is not simple. Wei Sheng sighed softly. Yes, he entered the top 10 with only an ordinary Tao of heaven and earth of the 8th realm. Such a situation has never happened in the past hundreds of thousands of years. Other Tao integration powerhouses chimed in. I've specially checked his information. Before the 9 Regions Genius Battle, this kid had lived on a remote planet in the 9 Regions Genius Battle. There's very little information about him. A Tao integration powerhouse from the 9 Nether Star region frowned slightly. Quang Lang was from the 9 Nether Star region. While everyone was thinking about this, the 5th round of the arena battle began. Jiang Ci and the other 10 people appeared in the 5 arenas. Each arena was still tens of thousands of square kilometers in size and was shrouded in an array formation barrier. Since the competition had progressed to this point, no one bothered to bicker before the competition. They were all the top geniuses of the human race and wouldn't be affected by bickering at all. They attacked directly. Quang Lang's previously silent posture suddenly changed, and he began to laugh wildly. I've endured it for so long, and now I can finally attack with all my might. Jiang Ci, you are qualified to see my strongest means. Frost. Woo! Suddenly, ice and frost raged in the arena, sweeping and howling like ghosts wailing and wolves howling. This is a rare Taoist technique, the Frost Tao. And it's already at the 6th realm. This kid hid it too well. This Taoist technique is almost the same as the other top 10 geniuses. And he has an ordinary Taoist technique, the Mystic Water Tao, at the 8th realm. I just don't know if he has fused his Taoist techniques. The Frost Tao evolved from a water-type Taoist technique. He has cultivated it to such a high level. It's impossible that he hasn't fused it. The Tao integration powerhouses were shocked by Quang Lang's sudden outburst. Jiang Ci is in danger. Wei Sheng let out a long sigh. He had thought that the 2 geniuses of the Blue Star region could still strive to enter the top 5. However, Mu Ning encountered Ji Wei, and Jiang Ci encountered another person who hid his strength so well. Among the geniuses in this competition, only Jiang Ci had fused Taoist techniques. Now there was another one. There were very few people like Jiang Ci and Quang Lang who could reach a high level in several Taoist techniques. This was because most of the cultivators who participated in the 9 Regions Genius competition were young. They rarely had the opportunity to cultivate multiple Taoist techniques. Even if they did, they would only specialize in one. In the arena, Jiang Ci's expression changed drastically. The Frost Tao, this old fox, through the Daoist rhymes, he recognized that Quang Lang's rare Frost Tao was already at the 6th realm. His Taoist technique was far superior to his. Moreover, frost itself restrained fire and gale. In addition, this arena with an area of tens of thousands of square kilometers looked very large. In fact, it was only 100 kilometers in length and width. In the eyes of cultivators at their level, it could only be said to be very small. This was a bit of a disadvantage for those who were good at speed. The distance was short, and it was difficult to fully utilize the advantage of speed. Therefore, the current situation was very bad for Jiang Ci. Chapter 334. On the contrary, in this narrow space, the power of Tao techniques such as the Tao of Frost could be exerted to a greater extent. Therefore, when the 6th level of the Tao of Frost descended, Jiang Ci's Tao of Fire and Gale domain were suppressed within 100 meters of his body. The power of Tao runes and domain couldn't get out at all. Kill! Quang Lang shouted. The frost saber slashed out with a majestic aura. Jiang Ci's figure flickered. Under the situation of wind and fire, he constantly changed his position in the roaring frost arena. He was looking for an opportunity to get close to his opponent. His speed wanted to reach the extreme. But then, crack! Frost quickly condensed around Jiang Ci, limiting his range of movement. At this moment, Quang Lang's saber slashed out and attacked in front of him. Clang! 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 Jiang Ci's sword light flashed continuously, blocking Quang Lang's frost saber. He can actually block my Tao of Frost. Quang Lang's expression changed slightly. The opponent's strength exceeded his expectations. Can I only use that move? Quang Lang's eyes focused. Although he was arrogant, his mind was extremely calm and clear. The frost saber suddenly had an additional Tao rune like ripples of water. Tao of mystic water. Then, the saber slashed out again. Like a frost dragon, flying and roaring, it swept through the arena. Jiang Xi's space of movement was completely restricted. This move could only be blocked, not dodged. Sure enough, he also knows the Tao technique fusion technique. Jiang Xi was somewhat helpless. He had already expected this. The rare 6th level of the Tao of Frost. The ordinary 8th level of the Tao of Mystic Water. The power of the fusion was not inferior to his 3 great Tao technique fusion technique. It's not time to admit defeat. Jiang Xi remained calm. His strongest attack was also used again. With the sword domain as the core, the Tao of Fire and Gale domain were all integrated into it. 3 great Tao techniques fusion. A sword suddenly slashed out a dark red sword shadow, like a gust of wind, pierced through the space and passed through the frost. Boom. Deafening booms continuously reverberated within the combat arena. Another person was left standing, and another had fallen. Quang Lang won, but his expression was very ugly. He looked at the silver-white armor on his body. This was a battle armor formed by the fusion of the Tao of Frost and the Tao of Mystic Water. It was his strongest defense. However, at this moment, there was a hole in the chest of the armor, a fatal point. If it wasn't for the Tao of Ice restraining wind and fire, I would have been the one to fall. Quang Lang's expression was complicated. Whoosh. Jiang Xi returned to the green jade platform and shook his head. What a pity, what a pity. His Tao technique just happened to be countered by the wild waves. The Tao of Fire and the Gale domain couldn't unleash their full power. In terms of the power of their strongest attacks, it was hard to say who was stronger. However, this defeat meant that he had no fate with the 4th layer of heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. My absolute strength is still not enough. If my Li Fire Tao was 1 level higher, I would have been able to defeat him. Or if I make a breakthrough in either the Gale domain or the Sword domain, even if my Tao and Dharma counter each other, I can still win. Jiang Xi shook his head and pushed his disappointment aside. What a pity, what a pity. Wei Sheng and many other Tao integration experts were also sighing. What Jiang Xi could understand, they could naturally understand as well. Just now, Jiang Xi had almost won. He lost because his Tao and Dharma countered each other. As everyone knew, the more Tao techniques fused, the stronger the power of a Tao fusion technique. Although Jiang Xi's single Tao technique realm was not as high as Quang Lang's, with the fusion of 3 major Tao techniques, he was not inferior to Quang Lang. In addition, the arena battle was not suitable for speed. If it was in a more open place, Jiang Xi might have a higher chance of winning. That young man Mu Ning is also hiding something. Suddenly, a Tao integration expert exclaimed in surprise. Everyone's gaze immediately turned to the arena where Ji Wei and Mu Ning were fighting. At the same time, Jiang Xi and the others, as well as more than 3,000 other geniuses, were also paying attention to this battle. Mu Ning is also hiding his strength. Many people exclaimed. In the arena, the 2 young men who possessed special Tao of heaven and earth were each displaying their own techniques. When the Tao of the void descended, the void had already shattered. Ji Wei's body split into thousands, shuttling through the various fragment spaces. The long sword in his hand strangely appeared around Mu Ning. But Mu Ning did not move, playing his bamboo flute. The faint sound of the flute spoke of the silence and emptiness of the night. 4th song, Full Moon. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed. He could also tell through the array formation barrier of the arena. The full moon song that Mu Ning was playing now was stronger and of a higher realm than the last time they fought. This was the 5th level of the special Tao of life, equivalent to the 10th level of the rare Tao of heaven and earth, a complete rare Tao of heaven and earth. It far surpassed the other geniuses except for Ji Wei. Facing Ji Wei's surprise attack, Mu Ning's flute suddenly turned lower. Boom boom boom. Close to 10,000 translucent feet appeared in the arena space, kicking towards the fragmented space. Ji Wei's thousands of figures were instantly reduced to nothingness. The expression of this young man, who had always been cold, also changed. Mu Ning's strength had exceeded his expectations. No one can stop me. Ji Wei regained his calm. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, waves of ripples appeared in the void. The shattered space was like a mirror, becoming even more shattered. Ji Wei's feet moved, and he traveled through the shattered space at an extreme speed. Nearly 20,000 figures appeared in the arena at the same time, each of them exuding a terrifying and strange aura. It was impossible to tell which one was the real one. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. In the starry sky, Immortal Eliang shook his head. This young man is going straight for the Tao. He's very ambitious. He wants to step into the Tao immortal realm in one step. This kind of ambition hasn't appeared in many years. Immortal Chuhe was also stunned. More than 100 million years. Immortal Eliang answered for him. The two immortals were instantly filled with emotions, and they felt a small blow. Below, in the air above the green jade platform. His Tao of nothingness is actually at the 8th level, a Tao integration expert couldn't help but exclaim. It's 2 levels higher than what was shown in the previous trial. What a terrifying young man. A Tao integration expert laughed bitterly. If they were only cultivators who had just entered the Tao integration stage, it would be very difficult for them to easily defeat this young man. The group of Tao integration experts couldn't hide their voices. Therefore, the 3,000 or so geniuses below also heard them. 8 levels of the special Tao of heaven and earth. No wonder he was so far ahead of them. He was a genius that only appeared once in a million years. Everyone felt a deep sense of pressure. Being in the same generation as such a genius. It was an honor, but also a tragedy. Jiang Xi let out a long breath, releasing the pressure in his heart. According to the spiritual power amplitude on the experience panel, he calculated. The maximum amplitude of a rare Tao of heaven and earth was twice that of a normal Tao of heaven and earth. And the maximum amplitude of a special Tao of heaven and earth was twice that of a rare Tao of heaven and earth. In other words, Ji Wei's spiritual power amplitude had already reached 1,600 times. I'm only 370 times. Chapter 335. 370 times versus 1,600 times, the difference was too great. Jiang Xi shook his head and continued to watch the battle. It was obvious that after Ji Wei displayed his strongest move, Mu Ning had lost this battle. Swoosh. Ji Wei reappeared on the green jade platform expressionlessly and then occupied a corner by himself. Mu Ning, on the other hand, was heartless. After leaving the arena, he was beaming with joy. Aren't you disappointed at all? Jiang Xi was very puzzled. The strength that Mu Ning displayed just now was definitely the strongest apart from Ji Wei. He had a chance to enter the 4th heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. What's there to be disappointed about? I've displayed all my strength, but I still lost. There's nothing I can do. As long as I know that I'm still improving, I might catch up one day. Mu Ning's eyes were pure. Speaking of which, how did you lose? He asked Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi had a constipated expression. According to Mu Ning, he belonged to the category of people who had not displayed their strength. He briefly explained the situation of his battle with Kuang Lang. Haha, I think you're the one who should be disappointed the most. Mu Ning laughed. Next, the other 3 arena battles were also carried out at the same time. Once again, it proved that the geniuses who could enter the top 10 of the finals were not simple. Yang Jiufeng, who was ranked 3rd in the trial, had reached the 6th realm of his rare Tao technique, the Tao of Crimson Flames. A pair of fiery fists were incomparably violent, smashing Lin Ling Er's thousands of puppets into pieces. Even Lin Ling Er's Tao of Puppets was also a rare Tao technique and was also at the 6th realm. Unfortunately, she was still no match for Yang Jiufeng's fiery fists in the arena. Li Xianxian, who cultivated the rare Tao technique, the Tao of Charm, was dressed in a light muslin and was extremely seductive. Her every frown and smile made one's blood boil. But coincidentally, she met Mo Hong, who cultivated the Tao of Righteousness. The scholarly Mo Hong displayed the Tao of Righteousness, a special Tao technique, to the extreme. Although it was only at the 4th realm, it perfectly countered the rare Tao of Charm of the 6th realm. In the battle between the scholar and the fox, the scholar won in the end. The final battle between Blood Boy and Feng Lu was much more ordinary. The two of them cultivated the rare Tao techniques, the Tao of Blood Fury and the Tao of Gale respectively. Both of them were at the 5th level. Unfortunately, in terms of killing, Bloodchild's Blood Fiend Tao was superior. Furthermore, Blood Boy gave off the feeling that he had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. He had rich combat experience. There was madness in his eyes, but he was extremely determined. Jiang Xi seemed to see the figure of old ancestor Qing Xian in the Bloodchild. He did not forget the threat that had been lurking in the dark. Bloodchild was very similar to old ancestor Qing Xian, but the latter was slightly stronger. In addition, through this battle, Jiang Xi had also witnessed the power of the Gale Path in advance and learned a lot. On the arena, Xuetong's 10,000 blades struck out and killed Feng Lu. At this point, the top 5 had all appeared. Ji Wei, Yang Jiufeng, Mo Hong, Quang Lang, and Bloodchild. The 5 of them had different expressions. Some were cold, some were lively, some were indifferent, some were arrogant, and some were crazy. Immortal Yi Liang had a kind smile on his face as he spoke again. The 5 battles were very exciting. You are all the most talented geniuses of the human race in this era. However, as I said before, resources are limited. The 5 of you who win will enter the final round of the round-robin competition. Each of you will have 4 battles, and the top 3 will be determined according to the number of victories you have. Among the top 5 geniuses, other than Ji Wei, the other 4 heaved a sigh of relief. They finally did not have to rely on luck anymore. Soon, the 5 of them began their battles. Jiang Xi and the others, who had just been defeated, could finally enjoy the show. This Quang Lang is really strong. I didn't expect him to hide so well. Mu Ning shook his head. Just now, Quang Lang had used the fusion of the Tao of Frost and the Tao of Mystic Water to defeat Mo Hong and Feng Lu in succession. The narrow arena gave Wild Waves an advantage in disguise, even though Mo Hong's 4th level of the Path of Righteousness was equivalent to a rare 8th level Tao of Heaven and Earth. He was still no match for Quang Lang. This guy hid too well. Moreover, after he completely revealed his strength, he no longer hid his personality. It was completely in line with his name. He was very wild and unrestrained. This Quang Lang was not the same Quang Lang. In a battle between experts, victory was often decided in an instant. Therefore, the results of the round-robin matches for the top 5 were out very quickly. Ji Wei won all 4 battles, Yang Jiufeng won 3 and lost 1, Quang Lang won 2 and lost 2, Xuetong won 1 and lost 3, and Mo Hong lost all. Top 3, Ji Wei, Yang Jiufeng, Quang Lang. This result was out of everyone's expectations. Quang Lang, who had unleashed all his strength in the battle with Jiang Xi, actually rushed all the way to 3rd place and entered the 4th level of the Purple Heaven sect. And Mo Hong, who was favored by the Purple Heaven sect before the competition, lost all 4 battles. Quang Lang's previous low profile and his current arrogance formed a huge contrast. At this moment, whether it was in the Skyspan Mountain River diagram or outside, everyone remembered his name. He had truly become famous in the universe. In addition, because of Quang Lang's rise. The scene of Yang Jiufeng unleashing all her strength was not as shocking. When she fought with Ji Wei, she displayed the rare 9th level Tao of Crimson Flame. She could be said to be the contestant who was best at hiding her strength. Being able to get 2nd place was well deserved. Of course, what made everyone feel the most regretful was still Mu Ning. Mu Ning's Tao was obviously stronger than Yang Jiufeng's and Quang Lang's. But he was unlucky, so there was nothing he could do. In comparison, there were very few people who felt sorry for Jiang Xi now. Jiang Xi also realized this point. If they were to draw lots again, without considering luck, it would indeed be very difficult for him to get into the top 3 with his strength. There are too many monsters. Jiang Xi took a deep breath. It was not time to admit defeat yet. The road had just begun. At this moment, Immortal Yi Liang and Immortal Chu He finally came down from the starry sky. Their figures returned to normal, and they arrived in front of the 3,600 geniuses. But they did not speak. Instead, they seemed to be waiting for something. In the starry sky, a figure wearing blood-red armor silently appeared. This person had an iron-blooded aura, and he emitted a powerful aura, as if he faintly merged with the entire starry sky. It was true Lord Iron Mountain, who had appeared once before the finals. Greetings, true Lord Iron Mountain. The two immortals, 3,600 Tao integration experts, and 3,600 young geniuses all bowed in unison. True Lord Iron Mountain's resolute face scanned the crowd, and his hoarse voice resounded throughout the starry sky. Very good. After 10 years, the strongest geniuses of the human race have been selected. This year's finals of the 9 Regions Genius Tournament is the most exciting one in tens of thousands of years. According to the rules, the 361, 3600, 11 to 360, 4 to 10, and top 3 will enter the top 4 heavens of the Purple Heaven sect. In terms of cultivation resources, the Purple Heaven sect is the best in the 9 regions of the Tao Alliance. I hope that after you enter the Purple Heaven sect, you can use these resources to continue cultivating diligently. 10,000 years later or 100,000 years later, you will be able to see your figures in the forest of human powerhouses. His words made the hearts of the 3,600 geniuses surge with emotion. 10,000 years, 100,000 years. In other words, they had to at least reach the Tao integration stage. No, the Tao integration stage was too low. True Lord Iron Mountain's expectations for them were obviously above the Tribulation Transcender stage. True Lord Iron Mountain continued, next, report your locations. A year later, I will send people to your planets to bring you to the Tao Alliance's heavenly court, and from there, you will go to the ancient Tao origin world. You should also properly bid farewell to your families, as this will be a long cultivation journey. Chapter 336. Planet Kang Lan, Waterfront City, Lil P Manor. Jiang Ci woke up from his meditation in a cultivation room covered by a defensive formation. His spiritual sense left the sky-piercing mountain river diagram. It's finally over. Jiang Ci let out a long sigh. He didn't leave the cultivation room immediately. His emotions were a little complicated. Before opening the sky-piercing mountain river diagram, Immortal Yi Liang had said something when the 3,600 geniuses reported their coordinates. This made everyone understand why true Monarch Iron Mountain had said, "This is a long journey. It's going to be a long journey of cultivation." He wants them to bid farewell to their families. Because it was indeed a long journey. Next, the 3,600 geniuses would head to the ancient Tao origin world to cultivate for 30 years. It was worth mentioning that the ancient Tao origin world had a mystical place. The flow of time was different from that of the original universe. 30 years in the ancient Tao origin world was equivalent to 108 years in the original universe. By the time they left the ancient Tao origin world, more than 100 years would have passed. However, this wasn't the end. Next, they would enter the Purple Heaven sect's 9th heaven to cultivate. Just like Li Bai entering the Tao Alliance's flowing time hall, they couldn't leave easily if they didn't succeed in their cultivation. Once I leave, I don't know when I'll be back again. Jiang Ci shook his head and buried these emotions in his heart. He stood up and walked out of the cultivation room. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Jiang Dudu standing in front of the door. She was pleasantly surprised and smiled. "Big brother, is it okay to congratulate me this time?" Top 10, barely. Jiang Ci pretended to be deep in thought. "Ha, you're bragging again. Let's go. We haven't seen each other for 10 years. Let's have some fun." Jiang Ci didn't continue arguing with her. He pulled her along and was about to go shopping. However, Jiang Dudu didn't follow. "Big brother, Oldian already told me." Jiang Dudu was very calm. "What did he say?" Jiang Ci turned around to take a look about the ancient Tao origin world. Old Yin said that time passes very slowly there. 1 year is equivalent to 3.6 years in the original universe. Jiang Ci fell silent. Will the next time we meet again be 100 years later? Jiang Dudu asked again. Yes. Jiang Ci sighed softly. Raw. That's great. Jiang Dudu suddenly became excited. Seeing the confusion on Jiang Ci's face, Jiang Dudu laughed. Allow me to keep you in suspense. You'll know in 100 years. Jiang Ci felt helpless. Why was this reaction different from what he had expected? However, he did not pursue the matter. In any case, the two of them could communicate with one another using their communication beads. Immortal Yi Liang had already told everyone that the ancient Tao origin world was also within the range of the Eye of Heaven. In the end, the two of them didn't go shopping. Jiang Dudu had gone to deal with the matters of the Star Trade Group. She had placed great importance on the Mountain Sea Star trade. With the rise of Jiang Ci in the 9 Regions Genius Tournament, the business of Mountain and Sea Star trade in the Pale Blue Star region was getting better and better. With more business, there would naturally be more things to do. Therefore, Jiang Ci was left alone to guard Lil Pi Manor. I can't relax in this 1 year. Jiang Ci entered a state of cultivation again. The arena battles in the final stage of the 9 Regions Genius Tournament had made him fully aware of this point. Some geniuses were not that bad even if they did not use cheats. Talent was a cheat to begin with. Of course, if the cultivation time was taken into account, then no one could compare to him. He had cultivated for less than 50 years, but he was already comparable to those geniuses who had cultivated for hundreds of years. It was truly heaven-defying. In addition, apart from these realizations, Jiang Ci also discovered a problem that was worth paying attention to. After my spiritual consciousness enters the sky-piercing mountain and river painting, my body will be in a state of meditation and cultivation. I won't be able to refine spiritual objects to obtain large amounts of spiritual qi. As a result, I won't be able to use the experience points panel to quickly increase my cultivation or Tao experience. If I encounter a similar situation in the future and am in danger, then I'll be in trouble. The experience points panel will be greatly reduced. During the 5 years of the Qingyun Dao trial, he had been thinking about this problem. He had to think of a way to refine spiritual objects at any time and place so that he could increase his cultivation whenever he wanted. After pondering for a moment, Jiang Ci came up with an answer. Avatar. In layman's terms, it was an avatar. In Master's inherited memories, there are many secret techniques and strange techniques, among which is the method to refine an avatar. I can be sure that the cultivation levels of the main body and the avatar are definitely not the same. It might be possible to use Tao techniques. The only problem is that I don't know if the experience points panel can be used on the avatar. Regardless of whether it succeeds or not, I have to give it a try. I can take advantage of this 1 year to refine an avatar. Jiang Ci quickly went through these ideas in his mind. After making a decision, he began to prepare to implement it. Refining an avatar was not as simple as splitting the body in half with a crack. It was not as simple as plucking a strand of hair. Those were all great mystical abilities. At least, Jiang Ci did not find any in Daoist Ji's inherited memories. I need the Origin Enlightening Spirit Pearl as a carrier for the avatar. I also need the Spirit Accumulation Fruit to restore my spiritual consciousness. Daoist Ji's avatar method was to first refine a new body with the help of external objects. Then, he would separate a part of his spiritual consciousness and inject it into it. After nourishing it, he would finally refine it into an avatar. It's just that these two things are rare. It's very difficult to buy them outside with money. Thinking of this, Jiang Ci smiled. He might have worried in the past, but there was no need for that now. He took out the communication pearl and moved his spiritual consciousness. The communication pearl projected a 3-dimensional phantom. The Eye of Heaven was equivalent to a heavenly network that covered the entire universe. Using the communication pearl, one could connect to this heavenly network. However, ever since he stepped into the starry sky, Jiang Ci used the communication function of the heavenly network and rarely used other functions. Enter the Purple Heaven Sect's treasure pavilion. With the control of Jiang Ci's mind, the 3-dimensional phantom in front of him changed into a virtual mall. Only the disciples of the Purple Heaven sect could enter the treasure pavilion of the Purple Heaven sect. And he was now a disciple of the third heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. His privileges were second only to those of the fourth heaven. There was no problem. Search for the origin enlightening spirit pearl and the spirit accumulation fruit. Jiang Ci didn't browse other items but directly found what he needed. In the three-dimensional phantom virtual mall, almost instantly, 2 items appeared. Origin enlightening spirit pearl, 50 points for 1. It's a special magic treasure with no attributes. It's usually used to refine an avatar. Only disciples of the second heaven and above can buy it. Spirit accumulation fruit, 10 points for 1. It can heal spiritual consciousness injuries below the unification stage. Only disciples of the first heaven and above can buy it. Note: 1 point equals 100 top-grade spirit crystals. The treasure pavilion of the Purple Heaven sect seemed to know that it was Jiang Ci's first time here, so it specifically reminded him how to exchange points and spirit crystals. Jiang Ci looked at his account balance again. Balance, 10,000. 12 top-grade spirit crystals. After conversion, it was only 100 points. It's really shady. Chapter 337. Account balance, 10,000. 12 Supreme Grade Spirit Crystals. 10,000 Supreme Grade Spirit Crystals was one of the rewards for Jiang Ci winning the 9 Regions Genius Battle. After the 9 Regions Genius Battle ended, the Purple Heaven sect transferred the money to his account in the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank. As for the 12 Supreme Grade Spirit Crystals, he had saved them in the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank. 60 points is equivalent to 6,000 Supreme Grade Spirit Crystals, which is equivalent to 6 billion inferior grade spirit crystals. Jiang Ci's heart skipped a beat. He still had to buy what he needed. He filled in the address, completed the debit, and waited for the express delivery. Not only did he need to refine a clone, but Jiang Ci also knew that he needed to upgrade his equipment. The superior grade spirit artifact longsword could not keep up with his strength. During the 9 Regions Genius Battle, he had only materialized supreme grade spirit artifacts in the Tongtian Mountain River painting. Therefore, he changed his equipment in the Purple Heaven sect's treasure pavilion. He bought a supreme grade spirit artifact longsword with 10 points, which was still very similar to the killing shadow sword. He bought a supreme grade spirit artifact battlesuit with 20 points. After spending these 2 items, he spent another 3,000 supreme grade spirit crystals. He had just received the 10,000 supreme grade spirit crystals from the 9 Regions Genius Battle, but he had already spent 9,000 of them, 9 billion inferior grade spirit crystal. It was equivalent to 9 mountains and seas star markets. Jiang Dudu had to work hard for nearly 200 years, it's all in terms of strength. It's not a loss at all. Jiang Ci comforted himself. While waiting for the express delivery, he received thousands of requests for visits and invitations. They were all from the top immortal Tao sects and ancient forces in the Kanglan star zone and the neighboring star zones. Jiang Ci only picked a few important ones, such as the Tsangyun sect master Wu Kuei, the Four Symbols sect master Yi Shan, and the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court's Kanglan star law enforcement commander Earth. Everyone gathered in Dudu Manor for a day and then left. Jiang Ci's status now was different from 10 years ago. In comparison, he was not inferior to the leaders of the major forces who were in the late-stage Essence Soul realm. Moreover, he had more room to rise. During this gathering, the Tsangyun sect master Wu Kuei also fulfilled the promise he made to the public after the Qingyun Dao trial ended. At that time, Jiang Ci had obtained second place in the trial. Wu Kuei promised to give Jiang Ci one of the life galaxies under the Tsangyun sect's actual control. Jiang Ci didn't decline. He took the astrolabe and started picking. In the end, he chose a galaxy called the Silver Platter Galaxy without batting an eyelid. This was a medium life star system with more than 40,000 life planets. Wu Kuei didn't say anything either. He immediately applied to the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance to transfer control of the Silver Plate star system to Jiang Ci. Jiang Ci changed the name of the Silver Plate Galaxy to the Milky Way Galaxy, because it was originally the Milky Way Galaxy. Among them, The asteroid belt that surrounded the solar system was located in the Milky Way. Why did Daoist GE leave behind the interstellar coordinates of the blue planet in his inherited memories? It was because Earth was located in the blue star region. This did not arouse Wu Kuei's suspicion. After all, the asteroid belt had existed for a long time. It was just a slightly mysterious celestial body in the universe. Only some adventurous space hunters would pay attention to it. A top immortal sect like the Tsungyun sect, which ruled more than 80,000 life-star systems, rarely paid attention to such small matters. As a result, Jiang Xi was promoted from the Lord of Earth to the Lord of the Milky Way. The actual jurisdiction of the Milky Way galaxy was handed over to Jiang Dudu. In the future, this would be the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade. After dealing with these human affairs, in just 3 days, a courier came to his door. Of course, it wasn't an ordinary courier. It was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. He was dressed formally and looked very serious. Senior brother Jiang Xi, this is your thing. Judging from his words, the other party seemed to be a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. However, Jiang Xi didn't delve into it. After signing for it, the other party quickly left. Next, Jiang Xi returned to Earth alone and began to refine a clone at the same time. He didn't stop deducing Dao techniques. The sword domain and the gale domain were the key points of the next breakthrough. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Earth, Kunlun Mountain Range, Jade Pool Secret Realm. Jiang Xi passed through the stone door at the lake at the top of the Tongtian Mountain and came out of the second cave of the Jade Pool Secret Realm. I don't know where the Tongtian Tower is hidden. Jiang Xi shook his head. In fact, 20 years ago, when Earth was facing the crisis of the Qing Xian sect, he, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai had entered the second cave of the Jade Pool Secret Realm to find a way to deal with the head of the Qing Xian sect. Then, they found out that the Tongtian Tower had disappeared. The three of them also looked for it for a while. But in the end, they found nothing and couldn't find it. Moreover, Jiang Xi had another discovery. With his strength at the nascent soul stage, he couldn't see through the second cave of the Jade Pool Secret Realm. His range of activity was limited to the green Jade Pool Lake. When he reached the edge of the lake, he couldn't get out. There was a formation enchantment that he couldn't detect. Mysterious. Now, his actual combat power had already reached the nascent soul stage, but he still couldn't see through it. In this year, Jiang Xi came here many times. He wanted to re-enter the Tongtian Tower and ask Ni Shong what the Tongtian Mountain River diagram had to do with the Tongtian Tower. Not only the name, but also the Ling Wan Road and the Qingyun Path. They were too similar. Looks like I can only wait until my cultivation reaches the nascent soul stage. According to Ni Shong, there would only be great benefits for him when he reached the nascent soul stage. In the short term, there was no chance. He was about to set off for the ancient Dao source world, and he didn't know when he would be back. Then, Jiang Xi returned to Shen Tian City. In a secret dark room, his 3 servants, Hu Yang, Chu Ziyi, and Qiu Hong, were still guarding here. Lord Jiang Xi, the 3 of them bowed respectfully. After I leave, I'll leave Earth to the 3 of you. If you encounter any problems that you can't solve, you can send a message to me or my elder brother, Jiang Xi said in a deep voice. Don't worry, Lord. Jiang Xi nodded. In the past 10 years of the 9 Regions Genius Battle, the number of golden core cultivators on Earth had increased by a lot. However, there were still no nascent soul cultivators. Even if there were nascent soul cultivators, Hu Yang and the other 2 could easily deal with them. After all, Hu Yang's talent was not bad. He could comprehend a Dao domain at the golden core stage. Now, Hu Yang was already at the nascent soul stage and was even stronger. After giving these instructions, Jiang Xi's spiritual consciousness scanned the vibrant land of Earth. Then, he entered the teleportation array with some sadness. The space changed, and his figure appeared in the main hall of the Moon's Moon Palace. He didn't leave the dilapidated palace immediately. Instead, he entered an inconspicuous side hall, where he had set up an array formation. Inside the formation array was a handsome young man with the same figure and appearance as him, Main body. Clone. The two of them spoke at the same time and laughed at the same time. Of course, this was a self-directed conversation. Their thoughts were connected, and they only had one consciousness. This feeling is quite strange. One consciousness could control two bodies. At the same time, the two bodies could do different things. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.